not just a case. You're not just a client. You're a person, and you deserve support. You deserve simplicity. You deserve communication. When you hire an attorney, you deserve clear, risk-free advice that guides you to the best possible outcome in your injury case. And that's exactly what the advocates have been providing for over 30 years. After your accident, you deserve closure. You deserve compassion. You deserve peace of mind. You deserve an advocate.
This is The Monty Show, the truth in sports talk streaming. When you want unbiased opinions about your favorite team without the spin, all you have to do is find The Monty Show, streaming live and available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on YouTube. And now, here's Monty.
Hey, The Monty Show live on Monday, October 13th. Yes, it is October 13th already. And we have a crazy weekend behind us, and now an even better weekend straight ahead of us in college football. Unbelievable. James Franklin out at Penn State. 2 other FBS coaches fired. Who's next? We've got it all covered for you. Who's the next guy at Penn State? I think I know. All the college football you need to talk about today, we've got it right here on The Monty Show, presented by the Advocates at theadvocates.com. The best injury attorneys in the business, 24/7, 365. And the best part about the Advocates is they operate with empathy. They know when you've been in an accident, it's one of the worst days of your life. They know that you're worried about paying your bills, being healthy, being able to play with your kids, being able to hang out with your friends, whatever it is you need to do. I don't know, like go to work tomorrow. Yeah, the Advocates are going to fight for you so you can get back to the best version of yourself. And they're never going to ask you to cut them a check. They're never going to ask you for these big consultation fees or retainers. No, you don't pay the Advocates unless and until they win your case. Check them out online. Again, 24/7, 365. You can get clear, risk-free advice at theadvocates.com. Crazy weekend in college football. And I think obviously the big story that everybody's talking about is what is the right word? Termination, mutual parting of the a-holes at Penn State, happy ending Valley. You knew this was coming. And we talked about this in the summer when James Franklin laid down the gauntlet and he talked about how we've got it all. We've got the new stadium, but we don't have an airport. I hate my life. When James Franklin was going all on that, I told you over the summer, the leash is getting shorter and shorter and shorter. Now, I had no idea that 2 weeks after taking Oregon to double overtime, that he was going to get run from happy ending Valley. But am I surprised? No. Because the one thing that I can say about Pedophilia U, they want to win. They have spent money to win. They have great facilities. Those facilities are rapidly improving. And Jake, I think James Franklin brought this all on himself. Well, A, he's an average-ass football coach. But B, I think he talked far too much about the things he has and the things that are on the way at Penn State.
Yeah, I mean, I just think that there wasn't enough winning at the highest level, and I think that that's the clear messaging that the brass at Pet OU put out this weekend after letting him go was, hey, like, we're our track or our path and trajectory is all about winning at the highest level, and that's where we need to go. And it was interesting to see them put a lot of effort into saying, like, hey, he shepherded us from a really dark place back into a more productive place. And so, like, they were real keen on pointing that out and giving him his flowers there. But I think it's just it's a harsh reality of the coaching industry. It's nothing new to say that, hey, like, coaches get hired to get fired, and that's the industry. We all know that. It just is part of the job. But I think with James Franklin, the hard part is that it also seemed very part of his industry that he lost to the best opposition on a pretty regular basis. And it's really difficult because, the culture there, like we've talked so much about how terrible things are and how, what they condone, what they do, the bad look that is Penn State. And I just think that, most of the time I would be saying something like, yeah, dude, like the guy gave it his best shot and it just wasn't good enough. But in this case, I can't really say that because I don't really feel bad. I think that, You didn't win
No.
at the highest level. You cultured bad environment. Your culture sucked, generally speaking. And I don't even have to get into what went down in your prior role before Penn State.
Vandy,
to kind of
at
speak to who you
Vanderbilt.
are.
Yeah.
So I just think it's clear.
I think when you look at James Franklin, by the by, was James Franklin good for Penn State? I don't think there's any question. Was he an upgrade from a guy like Bill O'Brien, who was certainly an upgrade from Tom Bradley, who had the unfortunate job of replacing, one of the worst human beings we've ever known in Joe Paterno? Yeah. Was James Franklin a shepherd, a guy that brought Penn State into a new era? Absolutely. Did he do a good job? Absolutely. Should he have been fired? Absolutely. I am a guy that believes you are either going in the right direction or you should be fired. That's it. That's the beginning and the end in college football. And I look at James Franklin, and everybody's going to say, well, Monty won 146 games. That's great, but he couldn't beat big teams. And how many times have I sat on this very show and told you Drew Aller is average-ass Aller? I think I have said that repeatedly for the last 2 years. That's not a guy that's going to win a championship. I just think it was time at Penn State to make this move. And I have a lot of respect, all of the Epstein Island stuff aside at Penn State. I have a lot of respect for how difficult it is to fire somebody of James Franklin's character. And when I say character, I don't mean, well, he's a good guy. What I mean is somebody of the stature, somebody of the prowess of James Franklin. He recruits really well. He wins a lot of games, not the biggest games, but the guy wins a lot of games. And we're now seeing this culture I always talk about. It's not good enough unless you're Kirby Smart, right? Unless you're winning national championships. It's not good enough. Unless you're Nick Saban, it's not good enough. And I just don't know how many more times we're going to see one of these average-ass coaches do something or not do enough and wind up getting himself fired, because we're in this era of college football where unless you win national championships 2 to 3 and 5 years, your job's not safe. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Frankly, I have no idea. But what I do know is Penn State was always going to be 3rd or 4th in the Big Ten. And that is not some small indictment. The Big Ten is not a deep league. Penn State's not a good football team when it comes to the Ohio States. Ohio State is significantly more talented and significantly, I think, better at X and O's. They are much better coached. They are much better fundamentally. And that's the bar in the Big Ten. As much as Michigan fan will hate that, I think Ohio State is the bar in the Big Ten right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's just no getting away from it. I mean, I think they got something, and we'll get into the AP today, I'm sure, but they got something like 53 first-place votes or whatever it was. I think that Ohio State being the number 1 team in the country and the best team in the Big Ten is clearly not in dispute. I mean, I think that's the one thing in college football we can all agree on. But I think what's difficult is if you look at the timeline for James Franklin in this job, I take this back to the Notre Dame game in the CFP. I mean, I just think that it's just not good enough. You lost to a team that didn't really have an offense outside of the running game, and you couldn't figure it out. And I think once that happened, then there was so much pressure on you this year to go out and get results that anything less than that, anything less than getting to a national championship was not going to be good enough. And I think then it's like, okay, so we lose an OT to Oregon, and then we just go down a snowball with UCLA and Northwestern.
Oh, I think, but you understand that, right? I mean, this is the problem. If you are Indiana couldn't afford to lose the Oregon game. They didn't. But if they lose that game, there's a chance they lose 2-3 more this year, because it's really hard when your season ends. And when did Penn State's season end? Against Oregon. That was the game. And you blew that game and essentially watched your chances at the college football playoff or winning a national championship get significantly more difficult. And I think your kids are going to let down. Is Penn State better than Northwestern? Come on, what are we even talking about here? Of course they're better than Northwestern. Does that mean that that James Franklin should keep his job because they let down? No, it doesn't. James Franklin is a good coach. He's certainly not an elite coach. He's not. Is he better than Kirk Cignetti? Not right now. He's certainly not Ryan Day. I look at Lincoln Riley and what Lincoln Riley's doing in this conference right now. I think Lincoln Riley's having a pretty good run at USC the last 18 months. They're significantly better. Although I again will tell you, I don't think much of Michigan. I think Michigan's one of the most poorly coached teams in the country. We saw that on full display in Los Angeles over the weekend, but Lincoln Riley's winning games. James Franklin is probably not a top 5 coach in this league right now. Dan Lanning or James Franklin? That's not even a conversation, dude.
Yeah, well, I think what's difficult is James turned himself into one of those guys where it's like, hey, we can get to the CFP, but we can't win anything. We can't do anything unless
he needed help last year to get there.
Oh, for sure. But then it's like, hey, it's SMU, Boise State, Notre Dame. I mean,
that's exactly right.
I mean, how do you not win a national championship? How are you not at least going to the game? How are you not, how are you not doing more with that? And so I think what's hard is that, yeah, sure. Can he recruit? Yeah. I mean, I guess he got great talent there, but he didn't get the talent that he needed most, which was a quarterback that's capable of throwing you to a victory. And
that's exactly right.
And again, I'm not trying to rip this guy down, but his colors are very clear. He can recruit prolific defensive linemen, specifically defensive ends. I would say that he's pretty good in the back end of the secondary. I would say he's extremely mediocre at the quarterback position, and he's put a running back in the league here and there. That's what he's done. And you haven't won national championships. You're 4-22, I think it is now, against top 10 competition or whatever. 1 win against 3 wins against Michigan in your time. This is not good enough. And again, I can't believe I'm sitting here giving praise to this university, but it is the right move. It's what every university should strive for as far as expectations and behavior, because you're exactly right. I mean, once you lost that game, your season ended. So, I think it's just it was like, hey, we lost the Oregon game, and then the whole house just burned down because we lost to UCLA. Then Aller gets hurt. We lose to that team. It was just like, all right, cool. Let's just burn this thing to the ground and start over. I mean, it just makes sense.
Yeah, you absolutely. And I think James had a pretty good idea. And just talking to some people around college football, I think he knew once he lost the Oregon game, he was in trouble at the end of the year. But to watch this league spiral, and then you look at James Franklin on the field after this game. Just look how little emotion there is in it. He's not angry. Look, there's just nothing there. He's not angry. He's not happy. He's not sad. That to me is that apathy? Is that,
I think he knew he was
resignation?
Yeah, he knew he was doomed. I think he was standing there under the guise of, hey, I'm making sure all my players can get off the field. But what he was really doing was, hey, I'm just taking it in, because ultimately I know I'm going to get fired after this game. And because if you remember after the Oregon game, and also after the UCLA game, there was reporting of, hey, there was conversations held between Franklin and the brass, and he did his Monday availability, and he's still here. And so it's like, at the time, I don't think people realized that's what was going on. But obviously, hindsight's 2020, and now we can look back and say, yeah, that's probably what was going on there. He knew what it was.
I don't think he was getting fired in season because he lost to Oregon. I think this 2 in a row, I think the free fall, the lack of talent, honestly, I think people saw that Penn State could not make a tackle, could not be in the right place, could not execute a throw. Average ass Aller was regressing. I think you just saw a program that was lifeless, that was not pushing forward, that was, you had a coach and a coaching staff where you spent a lot of money to get Jim Knowles. And the defense is much worse than it was. Now, You also lost one of your all-time performers, and totally understand that. But here's my question. And I think this is if you're a Penn State fan, this is the hardest part. This is the hardest part to answer. Can you get somebody to step up? Because this isn't Oak State, a job that, frankly, not many people are clamoring for. This isn't a job where who's the guy on the hot seat? We'll talk about Mike Norvell in a few minutes. Florida State will be filled the second it's open. Penn State fired James Franklin without a solution. And my question is, if you are Garrett Riley,
yes,
if you're one of the top offensive minds in the country, Florida State's open, Penn State's open.
There's no question you're going to Penn State.
No. Yeah, I think, dude.
Why would you go to the ACC when you can go to the Big Ten?
It's an easy path to the college football playoff right now. And Florida State they both have oodles of money, right? Penn State, does Penn State have resources? Yes. And a lot of them.
We've seen those used poorly over the years.
Yes. A hundo P. But if I am Garrett Riley, who I think is the best offensive mind available in college football, I'm taking the Florida State job. I think it's better recruiting. I think it is easier to get to the college football playoff. I think the fans are thirsty and hungry. Now, again, my belief is if we look at the jobs that could potentially be open, and I say to myself, okay, like Penn State versus North Carolina. Dude, Penn State is in a different zip code.
Not even in the same conversation.
Right? Penn State versus Wisconsin. Penn State significantly better. But here's where we get in trouble. Penn State or Florida?
That's a different conversation. I mean,
That's
it's
the SEC.
I think casuals will say, oh, well, it's Penn State because it's the college football playoff. But I think the problem with that argument is that when you're comparing them to the SEC and specifically Florida is about as blue blood as it gets, bro. Florida is the swamp. Florida is that's a top job for the right guy. The problem is it's hard to find the right guy for that job who gets it, right? Like it's almost like you want a Lane Kiffin type personality, but you want like a prolific offensive mind to go with it. And that's what's hard for Florida. So, I mean, I would probably take Florida over Penn State, but I think that that's pretty
I would
level.
agree with that.
That comes down to preferences, honestly.
Auburn. Because I think Hugh Freeze. There's not I don't think there's any guarantee that Hugh Freeze is keeping his job.
Yeah.
And I think Penn State's a better job than Auburn.
Yeah. So the problem is Penn State's definitely a higher profile job than Auburn, right? It's a bigger job. It's much more expectations. But the problem for Auburn is the same problem that Boise State has every year, right? Auburn's a second-tier SEC team that is a season ruiner that typically has a moment or two every single year where it's like, holy crap, that was the Auburn game this year. But it's not, you're going to struggle to get the best of the best there because you have all those other teams in the SEC. Because if you can get them, the other teams in the SEC are definitely out to get them. That's the problem.
Yeah, and I think the hard part about these conversations is the best open job, like this Mike Norvell conversation this weekend, you guys. I don't know how you, if you're Florida State, how are you not firing Mike Norvell? At the end of the season, he spent oodles of money. Now, Jake, what did you text me about James Franklin yesterday?
I don't remember. What did I say?
That he's making $20K a day.
Oh, yeah. 20 bands a day, dude.
Not
for
to
the
work.
next 6 years. Not
And
to work.
And what did I say to you?
They got money.
No, we need to get on that 20K a day.
Yeah,
not
I
to
need that
work
diet,
thing,
bro.
right? We all need that grind.
Yeah.
But if you're Florida State, you spent oodles of money replacing staff. You spent more money than at any time in the history of Florida State football on recruiting. And you're not better for it. You're not a better football team. That's what this comes down to, because you're not winning games. You're going to fire Mike Norvell. And I think Florida, if all things remain equal, I think it's Florida State 1, Florida 2, and I think Penn State 3. I think Florida and Florida State are significant. Just on access to athletes alone, I think Florida and Florida State are better jobs. And I think you can go into, like, Florida is really interesting. That defense is really good. That offense is horrendous. You can go, if you're, again, I'll just go to Garrett Riley. If you're Garrett Riley, you can go into Florida and turn that offense around like that. The day that Garrett Riley's the head coach at Florida, DJ Lagway is a significantly better and more capable quarterback.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. DJ Lagway, to me, is much like Bryce Underwood, right? I mean, this is a guy that needs a ton of development.
Yes.
But the raw intangibles that the guy has are Heisman caliber worthy. But you have to have someone that can mold him and teach him and allow him to grow. And, I think the other thing that needs to be talked about in this conversation as far as recruiting and level of program is the new transfer portal window, right? I mean, we have a situation here where this just changed. And I don't just mean that the transfer portal window is in January. What I mean is that now it's not a thing where once the coach is fired, you get to hop in the portal, right? You have to wait till the new coach is hired. Then you get to transfer. Then you get to hop in the portal. So I think there's this game, going on within the game of like, hey, we're Florida State, we're Florida, we're now competing for these candidates. What are we going to do to separate ourselves from each other to go out and get the best coach for us? That's what I think is a challenge right now.
Yeah, I also think it's very difficult. And again, this is just my opinion. I think it is very difficult when you look at Florida State. Hell, I'll put Clemson in this conversation. Are there going to be 10 coaches fired at the D1 P4 level? I think there's legitimately a chance. If you look at, in the list that I have working right now, I think you could very easily be looking at, and of course, quick aside note, it really drives me crazy that Apple and the notes function does not transfer from my phone to my computer. And I'm just...
That's what fucking
right.
me to fuck off.
I spend all this time necking with my wife on the couch and making notes on my phone, watching plays, and I just threw that in there to be sensational.
Throwing it in there,
hot dog down the hallway and stuff. Here are the jobs I think will be open. We know Penn State already.
Yeah.
I think North Carolina's open. I think Wisconsin, Florida State, Florida. I think Auburn, there's a very good chance Auburn's open. And then you already have UCLA open. I think those are the...
You don't think Buddy's locked that up?
Who?
Jerry.
Jerry Neuheisel? No, with all due respect. I do not. I think it's far from locked up. I think it is far from locked up. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's a different day. But I think those jobs are open. And if you look at the dearth of talent that's available, and just the names that I've heard repeatedly on the Penn State job, I was talking to a guy this morning about the Penn State job, a guy I trust very highly. I think when you're looking at the names on that list, honest to goodness, I think there's two. There's a 1A, a 1B, and a number 2. And I think it's Matt Rule at Nebraska is 1. I think Matt Campbell at Iowa State is 2. And I think that when you look at Manny Diaz at Duke, I think Campbell and Rule are 1 and 1A, and I think Manny Diaz at Duke is 3. I would not hire Manny Diaz as my next head coach.
No.
I don't, but I understand it. He's got massive ties. He's got massive ties to Penn State.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, they won.
You don't fire James Franklin to hire a guy who's not qualified from a experience in college football standpoint.
Well, I mean, he did not have success at Miami, being fired at Miami. But then again, being fired at Miami, is that a badge of honor? Probably at this point. But I mean, he did finish in the top 25 before he got fired.
I listen. I think what's hard
13
is
and 6.
Yeah, I think what's difficult is that it's like you said. I mean, they hired James Franklin without a backup plan or a solution, and they did that intentionally, and I give him a lot of credit for that. But for me, Manny Diaz wouldn't even be on the list. He wouldn't even be a consideration, only because you can't. The next guy that takes over the Penn State football program, not only can it not be at risk, it can't be a lesser candidate than James Franklin, which is exactly what that would be. And
I don't know that I would agree with that. I think you have to, because you have to have experience in that part of the country. It is, and I don't know how many people give a rat's ass about this, but you have to be able to go in there and recruit large human beings, offensive linemen and defensive linemen, and you are going to need to get in the portal and get a quarterback right away, because average ass Aller now is out. He is done as a college quarterback. I think Matt Campbell and Matt Rule are the 1 and 1A there. I think those are the two names. Matt Rule, obviously, but I think Matt Campbell's a guy that you have to call. I don't believe for a second that Kirk Cignetti is leaving Indiana. And I don't know a soul that believes he is. And frankly, I don't know many people that are close to Kirk Cignetti, but honest to goodness, I can't find a person to tell me that Kirk Cignetti will even answer the phone for a new job this summer.
Yeah,
and
why would
would
do that
you?
when he just beat Oregon and can be a red ass the whole time?
With all due respect, and play for a national championship, because that defense is legitimately good. There's just no doubt. But I mean, to me, this job has to go to a guy who's done it, who's been there, who's won, who knows how to build programs. And it's why Matt Rule is such a great fit, because I think he has very clearly injected talent into Nebraska. Now it's taking a longer arc than anybody would like, but they're much better this year than they were last year. And again, it's the Matt Rule year 3 thing that I told you is complete BS, because I don't think they're winning this year, but they're significantly better. And you can say what you want. What does he have? He's got a defense and he's got a quarterback. And I think he's got there's nobody, obviously, that's going to be closer to Pat Kraft than Matt Rule. I mean, that relationship is well documented now.
Yeah, I think that everyone just assumes that, and I'm not saying you do, but I think the masses assume that guys who, that this search is only applicable to guys who, are, appear to be available, like the Matt Rules of the world, or, any of the names that we've
Does Matt Rule
that
appear to be available?
Yeah, because it's a bigger program than Nebraska. Yeah. I mean, he can sit up there all day and sing praises about Nebraska, but nobody believes that you wouldn't leave Nebraska to go to Penn State, right?
Yeah.
I mean that's just the reality of it, until someone else fills the job. But I don't know, man. Again, this is the age-old debate that we had about Bama before they went ahead and hired him, is like, who would you call? Who should you call? I mean, aren't you calling all the usual suspects, whether you think they'll say no or not? Aren't you calling Kirby,
No.
Dan?
Nope. No, I don't think.
How is this different?
Because I think, and I know most people will disagree with me on this, but I've talked to multiple sources today who have told me this job is not for everybody. It is not for everybody. That place, you have to go in there. Like a guy, for instance, if you think about Clark Lee at Vanderbilt, is a really popular name in the coaching carousel. That job isn't fit for Clark Lee. That's just not his persona. That's not his, like Dan Mullen at UNLV, who I think somehow, I tweeted over the weekend, Dan Mullen's taken what Barry Odom did and taken it to another level. That's not the job for Dan Mullen. He's not a fit there. I think you have to be able to go in there. And you know what? I know that people are going to really get pissed on this show because we have a lot of Ohio State fans. You know, the guy they have to talk to, they got to call Brian Hartline.
Mm-hmm.
They have to. And I know that name's been floated nationally, but I tweeted about this the other day. If you are going to fire your coach in the Big Ten and you don't call Brian Hartline, you should be fired yourself. I just think Brian Hartline has played in the big games. He has been a GA. He's been an analyst. He's now an offensive coordinator on a team that is as good as any offense in the country, with a freshman quarterback that's developing at a better rate than anybody Penn State's probably ever seen. Like, it's all happening. Now, is Ryan Day largely responsible for that? Yeah, but that doesn't mean that Brian Hartline's not the offensive coordinator and doesn't deserve respect. And I know it's not popular. I understand that. Brian Hartline's a guy that you have to call. There's just no way around that. And again, in Columbus, I'm sorry to tell you that, but that's a really good name, because there's not a living room in the Midwest and the Northeast that Brian Hartline can't walk into and get name on piece of paper from fat ass offensive or defensive linemen, because that's what they need. That's how you win and lose in this league. And the best have it. Look at what Michigan does not have right now. Michigan has really bad coaching, and they're not great up front. And I am telling you now, Brian Hartline's a guy who can get a job and make that happen. Now, is he your first choice? I have no idea. How many times you're going to go to the well at Ohio State if you're Penn State to hire one of their assistants? I have no idea.
It's a great point, man.
Right? But
great point.
All right, let's get into the comment section. Who would you hire at Penn State? Are you in the comment section? Are you surprised they pulled the trigger on James Franklin in season? I really was. I think, again, it is the right move. You can't lose back-to-back weeks to lesser opponents after losing to Oregon and think that you are going to – there's no way to get the water out of the boat at that point. Right?
It's a program-defining moment.
Yeah,
totally
in your
agree. Season. I mean, if you don't fire him, you're saying, yeah, we're going to be that program that, takes the Steelers approach to life of waiting for things to end with the season, and then we'll make all our moves in the offseason. But I just don't think you can afford to wait. I mean, you're talking about replacing your head coach and the whole staff, basically. I mean, at that point, recruiting's up in the air. I mean, you change head coaches, you're talking about an 18-month probably reboot. I mean, that takes time.
We'll see, man. I think Penn State is in a really critical time in their program. And anytime you fire a guy like James Franklin on October 12th, you're sending a message, right? Like, that's what this is.
Mm-hmm.
You are trying to say, hey, we're not gonna be the same old disappointing, mediocre football team that has haunted this organization since the day James Franklin got the job. That means, and I would agree with you to that extent on Manny Diaz. I think that's just not going to placate the boosters. But if you hire Matt Campbell at Iowa State, I think that's a pretty good hire. If you hire Matt Rule, that's a pretty good hire, right? I mean, those are guys who have built programs with far fewer resources. Now, I also happen to believe that Matt Rule has one of the nicest budgets in the country. But you listen to Matt Rule. Does Matt Rule want the job?
I came here for two reasons. I love the community here and wanted to live here, and I love it here. And I wanted to rebuild Nebraska football. And, Troy and I understand the steps that you need to take to make us Big Ten champions and national champions. This place is elite. And I want to be a great father, and I want to be a great college football coach. And so, I'm not going to talk a lot about job openings when they come. Maybe it's been a while here, but this is what happens when you win. I've dealt with it. We've won at Temple, and I dealt with it all the time. I've dealt with Baylor. I'm not going to talk about those things ever. I'm not going to talk about my contract here. I'm going to talk about the team. But I absolutely love it here, and I want us to continue to take the steps needed for us to turn this thing into a beast. And players all across the country want to come here. We have the best facilities. We have elite fans, and I'm just looking at the future. So. But again, I love that place. I love Pat. I love James Franklin. Sad that came to an end. I wish him the absolute best, but I'm really happy here and excited to get going this week on Minnesota.
That's not a no.
Hey, bro,
right?
way to coach speak the hell out of it. Thanks.
That's not a no. Coach speak, Jake. Coach speak is exactly the right phrase. Because that's what it is, right? That's not I love Nebraska and I am not leaving Nebraska. I'm not interviewing for other jobs. I love Nebraska. And again, he has a really good talent base. He's got fans that support him, and he does have elite facilities. Thank you, Trev Alberts. But he didn't say no. And if Penn State a better job than Nebraska?
Yes.
I think it's probably, not probably, it's a much higher profile job. And I think it's probably easier to win at Penn State than it is at Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
So interesting. Have we changed our name now?
Now YouTube's doing the thing where YouTube's having one of those days where it's showing everyone's OG name.
So I was locked out of my studio account yesterday. And I reached out to YouTube support, and they were telling me, oh, yeah, we're having a glitch, bro.
I don't know. Sorry, Monty.
Well, we'll see. Dana Marie says, hey, fellas, 8 months so far. Thanks, James. We really appreciate the subscription. Dana, you never did she ever DM you?
Mm-mm.
No, she never DM'd.
Nope. Hell no, she didn't. Never got him.
JB, good to see you for $2. He's a B coach, better than average, just not elite. You mean Franklin? I would agree with that. Big Ponif, at this point, the NIL area is going to make it rain axes. Dude, I think that's a really interesting way to put that. I think because when you're spending $30-40 million in player salaries, I've told you, I continue to hear. I was talking to a guy about Dan Mullen at UNLV today. And do you guys understand that UNLV is spending in the hundreds of millions of dollars right now? I mean, do you guys understand that? And the only reason they're not spending on par with P4s is because they don't have to pay for their stadium. They have they have a lease agreement with Allegiant. So they're spending, UNLV is spending on par with P4 programs, and we're seeing it on the field because that team is well coached, winning games, doing that thing, right? So I think you could be, this is a really good point. Good enough is going to get you fired, and failure ain't no one got time for that with money on the line for ADs. You're going to be lucky to make it 3 years. I think that's exactly right.
That's facts.
Says, I believe you're a Utah fan, Big Pond. A member for 33 effing months already, my guy. We got to talk about BYU Utah. Because what Bear Bachmeier did over the weekend, did anybody watch that game at 2 a.m. Eastern? Bear Bachmeier played some terrible football.
Ass.
Bear Bachmeier played some elite football. And this is what happens when you start a guy with no measurable experience. And you say, hey, Why don't you put on number 47 and be the starting quarterback at BYU, my guy?
And while you're at it, Bear, because I know you've got the hair, here's a headband to look cool and let us reminisce about the MILF Hunter era at BYU. So you can look the part, but you're just not going to play the part some weeks. I hope you're okay with that, buddy.
And here's the problem. They don't need him to throw to win because the offensive line, they're putting their stank on dudes. And you know what is striking? And Aaron Roderick, who's the offensive coordinator at BYU, Aaron Roderick is a good coach. You want your quarterback to play better football, Aaron Roderick ain't your worst option. Now, you want play calling? Okay. But look how good Bear Bachmeier is in play action right now. Look how good he is in RPO. That tying touchdown with that is Bear Bachmeier played some really ass football. I agree with Jake, but he also played some really good football, including fourth quarter and overtime. You better watch out, Jita. Chewy Gonzalez, dude. What are we doing with the Dodgers? Shohei's going third in this series. And I'm supposed to believe that Yamamoto, what do you guys call him in LA? Yamamoto, son? I'm supposed to believe that Yamamoto, they do. I'm supposed to believe that Yamamoto is like, I believe they're going Snell, Yamamoto, and then Captain Cash Gambler, dude. And
Ipe's buddy.
I couldn't pull Ipe, buddy. Ipe's best friend. I'm really surprised Yamamoto's getting game 2.
Yeah,
I thought Shohei would get. I thought you'd come out with Shohei, but Snell's been really good. But how you're the pitching guru on the show? How surprised are you with that mix?
I mean, initially there's a little shock value to it, no doubt about it. But I think when you dig into it a little bit, it's respect, right? I mean, it's respect for the Brewers. It's respect for, how quickly that team can turn a game on its head offensively. And I think that, putting Ohtani in game 3 potentially could be a really smart move, because if you're somehow, I have no doubt that you will win one of the first 2 games, but let's say that you're 1-1.
I would agree.
You're 1-1, you split, you're 1-1 going to game 3, and you have Ohtani on the hill. I mean, you feel really good about that. You feel like for probably,
do?
Yeah. I think you feel like, all right, for 4 or 5 innings, I'd rather throw Ohtani than throw a bullpen game.
I think there is no question in my mind that you have to. Why can't stuff just work? So I had the Mariners Jays game on.
Right.
But obviously I'm doing the show. I'm not paying attention to it. I went to look at the Dodgers pitching rotation, and I looked over at my screen, and now it says I have to verify my location. For the 4th day in a row, I have to verify my location. And it makes me crazy. Anyway, yeah, I would rather be up 2-0 and lose game 3 than be 1-1 and have to have a must-winning game. But, I could be wrong. Big Pontiff for $5. Thank you, Brandon. Notre Dame fan, suffering Irish Catholic from Chicago. Utah is the local team for me. Question is, Dana Manti-Te'o's girlfriend. Now, see, now you're speaking my language. You're speaking my language here. And if one more person mocks me about CJ Carr for Heisman, bro, because we're playing USC this weekend. We're playing USC, and I am telling you, we lost the first 2 games because he wasn't ready. And now all the USC fans, yeah, you hated him anyway. You're goddamn right I did. You're right. Jeremy Bolton, the mayor of Montytown. What's up, McCluskey? Penn State hiring Lance Anderson from Utah Tech. BYU O-line is elite. Bear is sexy. Jake's red sweatshirt sucks. My Kia hasn't started on fire yet. Okay. Let's just encapsulate.
Just eviscerate the whole show, dude. Just cover everything in one comment.
I'm here for it, man. I am absolutely here for it. And you know what, dude? McCluskey, I miss you, dude. It's good to see you on the show. BYU, Jake, BYU or Utah?
Utah. That defense is. I know that defense didn't show up against Tech, but that defense looked real nice against a crap Arizona State team, you know?
Look at the number. Does this surprise you? I mean, 3.5 at Lavelle.
Boys in Vegas got to make some money, dude. That's so.
You think that's what this is?
Oh, I think that's 100% what it is. Because what are they playing on here? They're playing on BYU fan, putting money on them covering the number to win the game. That's what they're doing. They're saying, they're saying, hey, make BYU a 3.5 dog, so then all the BYU fans will come in. And I know BYU fans don't gamble. That's kind of, they don't do that. They take positions. But BYU fans gonna put a bunch of money on BYU to cover, and a lot of them will take BYU to cover and outright win the game. So they're picking on BYU fans' pride with this number.
I think, boy, that's tough. I think if I look at you might be right. That's a line we're going to have to watch the whole week. No doubt. Mm-hmm. Vegas Gunner for $5. Appreciate that. Your thoughts on Ed Orgeron if a top G5 job opens up? He's radioactive, and I like Edo. I've had the great pleasure of talking with him many times. He's just radioactive. The way he went out at the end of his run, I don't feel good about it, man. And again, I'm not trying to pigeonhole guys. I just think he's radioactive. Would Oregon State hire him? Because I think Oregon State's a great job. I think it is. If you're at Oregon State, I think you have a real chance to build a winner. They're spending money. I don't know. The answer is I don't know. I think Edo is radioactive. That's what I would say.
Or John Gruden.
Oh man, I would hire John Gruden way before. Way before. But it's interesting. John Gruden's name continues to come up, and I just keep asking myself, is the risk worth the reward on John Gruden? If we're being honest, and again, not to keep saying this, but I was talking to a college football administrator this morning, and he brought up John Gruden's name to me for Penn State and Florida State. And I said, dude, if you're Florida State, Penn State absolutely cannot hire John Gruden. That's not happening. If you're Florida State, can you take a risk and hire John Gruden to be the head coach at Florida State?
Well, I think publicly people would. I think old heads would be pissed about that hiring, but I think your fan base would love it. I think that would light a fire under people if they hired him.
Right,
honestly.
That's cool, but what happens when he doesn't win? Because it's a risk, right? Well, let's just be honest about what Gruden is. I love John. Again, not to keep saying this, I have spent a ton of time around him when he was with the Raiders and I was with Extra Sports in LA, and he used to do our morning show every week. I love John Gruden. I'm not hiring him in a big program. John, go take the Oregon State job, which he won't do. If UNLV loses Dan Mullen, go take the UNLV job. But I am not going to hire him at a P4 program of note. Florida. I'm not hiring him at Florida State. He's never coached a second as the head coach of a college football team. And in today's world, do you know the learning curve on that? Who are you, Bill Belichick? If I'm North Carolina and I fire Bill Belichick or we part ways, am I hiring John Gruden to replace him? No. Because aren't you hiring or replacing him with the exact same guy? I mean, John Gruden and Bill Belichick are the exact same guy, except Gruden has far fewer rings than Bill Belichick.
Well,
And I don't care if it was Tom Brady. Because everybody's saying that too. I don't care. The bottom line is, if I'm hiring John Gruden, can you at least get down with the fact you're taking a huge risk when you hire him as a college head
question
coach?
about it. It's
Right?
a huge risk.
Because this is a different world we're playing in. This is a
huge
different reality, right? So John Gruden seems like the sexy hire and the everybody hire, and oh man, that'll be on the front page of every website. But then what happens? Can John Gruden go into a living room and recruit? Can John Gruden get in the portal? Can John Gruden?
I don't have any doubt with John Gruden and people. That's the thing. John Gruden. See, I agree with you. It's a huge risk. There's no question about it. There's no other way to spin it, right? It's a massive risk. Like, don't care who you are. It's a big risk. But I think that the key difference between what we've seen from the hoodie at UNC and what I think John would do is, one, I think John is superior with players and people and just relating to people and, you know, doing that kind of thing than Bill Belichick is. I think Bill Belichick is cut for the NFL, not just because that's where he spent most of his time, but if you look at his style, him as a dude, how he relates to people, how he goes about coaching, he's carbon cut for professional athletes, dude. Hey, this is your job. I'm paying you to do it. Get it done. Right? Like, that's it. I'm not interested in making men or turning kids into God. Like, none of that college stuff that we hear, dude. That's not Bill Belichick.
I think it matters.
No. It matters, but I'm saying that's not Bill Belichick. I'm saying that I do believe that John Gruden would thrive in that area. And I think that the hard part is no, he doesn't deserve a shot to be the head coach of Penn State or Florida or any of these jobs we're talking about. But I do think that if you're, you know, I mean, if Oklahoma State hired John Gruden, are we really going to sit here and criticize the hell out of them for doing that? Like, would that be some terrible decision given their position?
I think it would. I think it would, because I just, dude, if I'm Penn State, I'm calling Steve Sarkisian. Like, I mean, you need somebody of that ilk who's built a program and driven talent through the doors.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just don't, I don't know how. And yeah, I mean, I totally understand. Yeah, Dan Mullen's a risk too. Like, a buddy of mine in Vegas
but he's coached at that level, dude.
Right, but he's yeah, that's true. He's been in Florida, and his handsy wife and him got fired there. But I just think it's one of those things where I would hire John Gruden at the top G5 program or a lower level P. I would hire him at UCLA. Can hire John Gruden.
Mississippi State, I should say.
Oak State. Mississippi State's got a guy, right? But Oak State can hire John Gruden, because if he flames, you're just going to hire another guy. Who cares, right? Like, it is, in my opinion, not optional if you're calling yourself an elite program to hire a guy with no measurable experience. We can't do that. We can't do that. And I'm not trying to be a red ass about it. I don't dislike John Gruden, and I think, has he earned another job? Not really. But if he's going to get hired, I'm not going to beat the drum to say it's a terrible hire, unless you're Penn State or Florida State or Florida, or you cannot take a risk. Can you imagine fucking Florida State hiring John Gruden to replace Mike Norvell, the safest guy in the world? Now, he ain't winning. But can you, I mean, you can't hire John Gruden to be the head coach at Florida, Florida State, Penn State. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Can you hire him at Oregon State? Yes. UNLV? Yes. Northwestern? Yes. Yes, you can.
Boise State, if Danielson takes a P4 job?
That's interesting. I think I think Boise State, no, I don't think you can. You can't have a risk, because Spence has done a really nice job there, man. Like, If you hire John Gruden to replace Spencer Danielson you're taking a step back. Boise State doesn't have a quarterback right now. Would John Gruden make Maddox Madsen a better quarterback? Yes.
No doubt.
But what if Maddox decides to transfer and then you got to go find a quarterback? That's where hiring a guy like John Gruden in a cold weather climate is going to be a problem. Because when is he coached in a cold weather climate? Tampa ain't cold. Oakland ain't cold.
Man, I guess I just
Vegas
feel
ain't
like
cold.
I feel like I guess I just don't have concerns about him recruiting. I have concerns about the public's reaction to because it works the same way in the sense of, hey, well, if Florida were to hire him, let's say, there would be massive shock both ways. Some people would love it. A ton of people would hate it.
Totally
Some people
agree.
would say that it's irresponsible and it's unacceptable.
Yeah, totally
Other people
agree.
would love it. But then the other side of that is, hey, well, if, a Boise State level program went ahead and hired Gruden, well, then it's like, all right, well, then you're going to explain yourself a little bit, but then it's like, all right, well, who's another great candidate for Boise State? That's the plight in life if you're Boise State. And so
that's a good job, though.
It is a good job. And I do think
really
that
good
my
job.
concern is not whether John can recruit. My concern is whether John can win over the public. That's the problem.
You hire John Gruden and you don't care about opinion. If you make the decision to hire John Gruden, you can't give a rat's ass what people think. It's going to be controversial. That's just a given. What you have to ask yourself is, can John Gruden work within this new world order in college football? Can he portal? Can he money? Can he because he doesn't have to fundraise anymore, which is the good news. But who's going to be his GM? Who are going to be the 5 quality control analysts? Who are going to be the 5 tape guys? Who are going to be, how much is he going to prioritize school? Now, am I worried he's going to be necking with his way younger girlfriend in the end zone at spring game? No.
Were you talking about Bill or Ed O? Because
that's what I would be worried about with John. Dude that abides. Kellen Moore could maybe be fired from the Saints, then go back to Boise State. That's not that outlandish.
Yeah.
Mike Smith, I'm enjoying this portion of the John Gruden Power Hour podcast. Okay. James, you presided over her ceremony. Let's not do this today, please. What? I don't even know what you're talking about. Phil Venser. Phil, how are you? Boise State would hire back Brian Harsin. Brian Harsin. Well, you're probably not wrong about that. I don't know about that. I don't know about that. Oak State James. Oh God. You got to change your avatar picture, or you either need to change your name, the stadium guy, James. Okay. Now you're at TCU. I don't ever want to hear about Oak State takes from you again. That's dead to me now.
We don't take
Oak
any
State.
shit.
Yeah, Oak State James is dead to me because that guy was a fraud. You're a TCU fan now.
We keeping a buck right now. We ass.
I've been driving home.
My shit box.
I just did my youngest daughter's wedding. You want to clarify that at all, or?
Macaque.
I would love Gruden at Oak State. Okay. The better hire would be the DC at Penn State. You don't even know the guy's name. After you just did your daughter's wedding. Don't even just forget.
You're not that
dude,
guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
Don't even explain it. JP says Gruden's been in football purgatory for too long. Yeah, I don't know if that's the case or not. Toot Pants, the TCU Oak State Baylor guy. Exactly. Red Raider. Oh, we got to talk about you guys. You got from Franklin to Gruden. Will Gruden cover up player indiscretions? Let's hope not. Let's hope not. Brown eyes. Okay.
No, that's Shouty.
Yep.
Shouty.
OU suck. Texas beat the hell out of OU suck. I'm just going to play the music because it's all I have. I want my flowers on I almost said Peyton Manning. Probably should turn the music off then. I want my flowers on Arch Manning. Are you going to tell me how great I am? Are you going to tell me how amazing I am? I mean, you can use the adjectives you like. Well, I probably shouldn't do that. I'm telling you, this is the best game Arch Manning's ever played. He looks in control emotionally and mentally. And I think that Arch Manning, and I know this is probably crazy and probably way too much of a reach. I think Arch Manning is back as the number one pick of the 2027 NFL draft. I have no doubt about it. Because the guy that I saw was accurate, decisive, didn't put the ball in any jeopardy. Only ran, I think, 4 times for like 30 yards. I think this is the best game I've seen Arch Manning play. And this is the first time I can say Texas won this weekend because of Arch Manning. And that is a really important thing to say because he has been the reason they've been losing. And when you look at Texas now, 4-2, they're back to even in the SEC, which I think was huge after you lost to Florida. Because now you're back in the conversation of the college football playoff. That's how significant this win was. Now, again, their schedule is going to dictate. You've got to beat Vanderbilt and Georgia. And I want to say that's in back-to-back weeks. And then they end with Texas A&M. Yes, it is. Vanderbilt is November 1st, and Georgia, which I would remind you is TBD, to be determined for TV and time slot, is November 15th. So you're there. They have Kentucky, at Mississippi State, Vandy, at Georgia, Arkansas, Texas A&M. They have every opportunity to get their way back into the college football playoff. And my belief is Arch Manning can take them there because that defense is unbelievably good. They're back. That defense played really well, Jake. Like, this is everything Texas needed.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think it was their best week of the season so far. I mean, I think it's hard to get away from that. I think, I would agree it was Arch's best performance. I still think there's loads more of him to improve on.
Say it.
I think that John Mateer playing with one hand didn't really work out the way Boomer Sooner wanted it to work out. And it didn't really work out the way that I wanted it to work out.
Douchebag.
But the
why are you talking about John Mateer? Why are you talking about John Mateer in his dead-ass Heisman Trophy run? Talk about Arch Manning.
What do you want me to say? He had his best week of the season. I am not going to sit here.
You want to double date with Arch Manning?
I do not agree.
Yes, you do.
Don't agree. Nope.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't. I do not agree that Buddy has earned the number one pick yet. I think that there's still more to show. I think that. Okay, what do you want to bet? We're 18 months away from that. What do you want to bet? Yeah, sure. Maybe in 18 months he will be. But I'm not saying that now. Like, I'm not going to say that when I don't feel like OU played, and this is not an indictment on Arch, but I just think generally speaking, that was a terrible game from OU, number one. You got shut out in the second half. Texas's defense dominated you.
Okay, but we're talking about Arch Manning.
Right, but my point is if you're going to sit here and say that Arch had his best week, which again, I'm agreeing with you, he did. This is by far the best week of the year for him so far. But it's still only 166 and 1 touchdown. He is not yet prolific. He is a big reason why they won this game. But I do think that in this particular game, the defense is absolutely why you won this game as comfortably as you held them under 10 points and no points in the second half. And we're just going to sit there and ignore that. I mean,
you're trying to penalize Arch because his defense is elite.
I'm not penalizing him. The numbers are the numbers. Like, the guy had the best week of the season. He absolutely, I'm agreeing with you on that. I think they ran the hell out of the ball too, by the way, for sure. And I'm just simply saying it's not his best yet. There is still way more on the table. Like, there's more. There's more that needs to take place. And
you disappoint me on so many levels.
Yeah, I'm not going to knee pad the guy yet. Show it to me against Georgia.
Arch Manning.
You want to talk about time passing? Show it. Show
me.
Whoa.
Georgia's not good.
Okay, well then he should handle them, right?
Yes. But
okay.
Why? What do you mean? Show me against Georgia.
Well,
Oklahoma's defense is significantly better than Georgia's defense.
Okay.
Do we not recognize what Oklahoma is? Oklahoma is a really good football team that could not operate because of John Mateer's rust against one of the best defenses in the country. And I will just continue to say that Arch Manning had 65 snaps and came out rated 86.6. And the only quarterback of note rated higher than him was Julian Stain at Ohio State. In a similar matchup, and it was Illinois, and Illinois has turned out not to be so good. Arch Manning had one of the best weekends. And I would also remind you, what I said Thursday was, this team has stopped running the ball. Yeah, and then Cameron Dickey showed up, and you see they're running that same style that Texas Tech is out of the backfield now. Did anybody notice that? That if you blinked, you might have thought that was Texas Tech's running scheme. Steve Sarkisian changed his running scheme, and they ran the football well. You can't, I think it's just really unfair to downgrade Arch Manning because his defense is elite. I think when you look at the way that Wisner ran the football, they ran the ball for 136 yards against an Oklahoma defense that does not give up 100 yards rushing. That is really, really good.
Why is it taken as me downgrading Arch to say that Texas's defense balled out, played a hell of a game, clearly. Mm-hmm. John Mateer, I agree, looked very rusty and looked just not himself. Mm-hmm. And that's no indictment against Arch Manning. But the reality is they didn't score. They didn't come in danger of scoring in the second half.
Couldn't score.
So we're sitting here saying, hey, well, this is the best week of the season for Arch. I agree with that. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, this guy is somehow arrived on a 21 of 27 for 166. Arrival games for quarterbacks are 25 of 30, 22 of 30.
No, they're not. No, they're not.
Okay,
I totally disagree.
Well, that's fine.
Here's why they're not. Because Arch has put those numbers up. They don't matter. It's who you're playing and how you carry yourself and how you perform. And I think he performed exceptionally well. Domer Wap for $5. Gruden, yes, agreed. He has baggage. Oh, wait. Hugh Freeze in Auburn is online too. Yes, he is. I would agree with that. Let's see. The real Pete Forte. I was waiting for Jake to throw in such as and like in the Iraq. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think we get caught up in the peripheral stats. How many yards, how many touchdowns, how many interceptions. I think nowadays, especially against the defense, the quality of Boomer Sooner, you got to go deeper than that. You have to go to effective passer rating. You have to go to how many balls against a really good defense like Oklahoma. How many balls did Arch Manning put in jeopardy? No, their defense played really well.
I disagree with that.
Oklahoma's defense, dude. Their
I watched
defense
most
did
of
not.
that game, and there were several times where they missed. Several times, and that's not.
And in what way? When you say they missed, in what way?
I didn't like how they played the screen in this game defensively. I didn't like the fact that you allowed them to go over the top on you. That was just poor. I didn't like the fact that seemingly you weren't able to get enough pressure on him to make him uncomfortable. Arch Manning, if we're going to sit here and talk about stats, has shown an ability to turn the football over when you pressure him, and they just did a really poor job of that.
Right.
I felt like.
But and let's talk about that. Steve Sarkisian changed their protection, and he changed their running scheme. They had one of the better running weeks of their season, and they only averaged 3.9 yards per carry.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to your point about Oklahoma's defense, they had one of the lowest yards after contact number running the football, which tells you the offensive line affected the defense. I don't know. I think you have to give people credit for playing well. And when Texas has struggled to run the ball and protect the quarterback, and they do that, I think you got to call that out. Because I think your biggest issue, this game was changed very simply by the fact that Oklahoma turned the football over. That's what changed this game, because when you start looking at where this game got away from Oklahoma, it was the fourth quarter. It was the punt return, not related to Arch Manning. And that punt return really took this game in a completely different direction. Now you got desperate, and I think that's what really changed this game. But I think you also feel like John Mateer shouldn't have played in this game. And I guess we can agree to disagree.
I feel like you just didn't have a choice. What were you going to do? I mean, if you don't play John, okay, cool. We're going to sit here and talk about how you lost because you're backup quarterback. You do play John, we're going to talk about how he had one. He was playing with a bum hand, and you just didn't look good. And
yeah.
And I got to say, like, I don't disagree about the return. But I got to say that the game, Texas's defensive line dominated OU's offensive line. John was running for his damn life the whole game. So I agree he was rusty, but I just think that OU did not play well in this game. And that doesn't mean that Arch sucks or he didn't have a good week, because he did have a good week. He had his best week of the year. And
Jake, you're going to throat stretch for Dan Lanning.
No, we need to talk about Dan Lanning.
And if you are going to talk about what a great and elite head coach Dan Lanning is, and how you find his lettuce and his flow amazing.
Direct.
And the shape, no. Anyway, the point, we need to change the culture of sports analytics and say Arch Manning's ability to get away from OU defenders behind the line of scrimmage on Saturday was what we thought it was going to be the entire time. Right? I just think we need to.
We just see it two different ways. That's the reality.
Yeah, you hate Arch Manning, and I don't have an emotional connection.
Yeah, and your throat's sore because of what you've done to Arch Manning. Yeah, that's the difference.
But again, I think I've also criticized him heavily on this show.
You have. I think I guess I'm just not as hot to trot to say that, hey, he's, the draft stuff or any of that. I'm not saying that yet. I want to see him.
I think the draft thing, Jake, you look at the way that he profiles, his last name's Manning.
We've seen that's had an effect, no doubt.
Well, I think if you're an NFL general manager and you see a guy that dramatically improved over the first 4 weeks, I mean, the Sam Houston thing, it's funny. I think so many people got their lower extremities thickened by his performance against Sam Houston. That was him making a statement. That wasn't him going out and being like, look at me, look, I threw for 9 million. The numbers on paper don't matter. What matters is emotional control, mental intellect, and ability to execute pre-snap, to manipulate linebacker. They won the pre-snap battle in this game. That's what I'm giving him credit
I think
for.
that was pretty definitive.
He missed some throws. Let's not kid ourselves, but not many. What was 21 of 27? Yeah, I'm not trying to tell you you're wrong. Andy says Dan Lanning seems like he's on a permanent ayahuasca trip. Listen, if he's shitting himself into a diaper and we just don't know about it, I give the guy a lot of credit for hiding that. Okay. I'm with Jake on that. We need to see Arch do it again and again and again down the stretch, and we're gonna. Bryce?
My point with the Georgia thing is not that Georgia's defense is better than Oklahoma's, because when Oklahoma's at their best this year, I think they are one of the best defenses in the country. But my point is he has time now leading up to that. Like, okay, you did this against this Oklahoma team. Now we need to see you do that on the road, right? Because obviously, and this technically, for them, this was technically a home game.
Cotton Bowl, though.
Yeah, Cotton Bowl, though. So,
that might as well be DKR North, right? I mean,
yeah. So I mean, it's categorized as a home game, but you're not going to play at DKR again for another 3 weeks when you see Vanderbilt. So the way this should go,
it's Vandy, please.
Yeah, Diego Pavia, and we're going to beat the hell out of the Crimson Tide. Yeah, take your ball and go home, dude. So you should handle. You should handle Kentucky.
Yep.
You should handle Mississippi State.
Yep.
You should handle Vandy. And then I want to see what Kirby does in that game, because that is a game of preparation. Whoever prepares better is going to win that game, because those two know how to prepare and get their guys ready. And the last time we saw Arch against Georgia was very different circumstances than this time will be. So that's all I'm saying.
And I also think it's very interesting. I see a lot of Texas Tech in the running game at Texas, which tells you it's a big deal. Let's get into that Texas Tech thing. And you guys, I really appreciate all the comments. And I know that we're moving pretty quickly here, but there's just a lot of college football to get to today. So we'll keep reading your comments. Does Texas Tech need to ban tortilla throwing? At Jones AT&T, let's talk about that in 30 seconds after this from the Advocates.
Injured in an accident? You may be entitled to a bigger settlement, up to 3.5 times bigger. Your initial consultation is 100% free, and we don't get paid unless we win your case. No matter the accident, we are here to help. The Advocates will fight for you, because you deserve clarity, you deserve justice, you deserve guidance, you deserve an advocate. Contact us today.
Indeed. Contact the Advocates today at theadvocates.com. You guys, when you get hurt at work, I just can't say enough. It is so important you get clear, risk-free advice, because there are right moves and there are wrong moves. Please don't sign anything because your insurance company told you to in any situation. Go to the Advocates. Ask them, hey, you know what, man? I got speared by a forklift. My boss says I have a job and they're going to pay me. Should I sign this form? They're going to tell you straight away. Yes, no. They're going to tell you. If you don't have a case in your job and your boss and their workman's comp coverage is handling it perfectly, the Advocates will tell you that. But what's the reality? Usually insurance companies are not trying to watch out for you. They're trying to watch out for their shareholders. They're trying to enrich themselves. That's where the Advocates come in. Let them fight the fight, because they fought that fight for thousands of people and they've won that fight. That's what you need. You need somebody that can fight the fight and can win and isn't going to reach into your pocket to do it, because you don't pay the Advocates until they win your case. Get to them 24/7, 365 at theadvocates.com. All right. Do we have a problem in Lubbock with these tortillas? I have told you that repeatedly. This has to be addressed. I have asked and I have heard from multiple sources. This has been a problem going back to the beginning of not this season, but last season. And remember, we had that high-profile dust-up with Deion Sanders in Colorado, where Deion was upset because water bottles and coins were being thrown on their sideline when Colorado was in Lubbock. Yeah. And from what I understand, this has been going on back to the beginning of last year. The tortillas are not the problem. And I think it's important to say that, because Texas Tech fans, by the by, throw the tortillas one time and then let's move on with our lives. But that's not what's happening here. And I think Kansas had every right to be pissed.
Penalized a couple of times for objects on the field. How do you feel like that was handled?
Very poorly. Our conference office and Scott Draper and them were very poor at handling it. They said one of the officials almost got hit and tried to throw a flag and it got picked up, so that was disappointing. We have a policy put in that wasn't followed through, so I was very disappointed on how that was. It's obviously they have a great crowd. They really get into it and do some things, but I know the officials were just as frustrated after the one penalty was picked up by whatever they call the rock, wherever that is, where it sits. Say what it is. A pocket knife was thrown out and hit one of our staff members. So, it's ridiculous. It's supposed to be for safety and things like that, and it's a culture that's been accepted to a point, and it hasn't changed, and eventually somebody's going to be seriously hurt, unfortunately.
Here's the problem. I agree with that 100%. It's not tortillas. Tortillas are not the problem. And Lance Leipold and Joey after the game really got into it. And I think I'm just going to continue to say this, you guys. Texas Tech has too much good momentum, too much good mojo, too many things happening, too much money being spent, too many wins. All of it, everything you've ever wanted is happening at Texas Tech. And yet now it feels like the fans are the ones causing the problem.
Coach, you and Coach Leipold seem to have a heated exchange after the game. Can you share anything from that?
No, it's frustrating. I'm frustrated. I know he was frustrated. We've got a new rule in this league, and we know the rule, and we didn't follow it, and we got penalized tonight, to 15-yard penalties, and he was frustrated on that side. And we got to be better. We've got to do a better job. We got to find a way to do a better job as a whole, all of us.
But why are we still trying to find a way to throw things on the field? It's a cool tradition. I totally understand it. But now it's gone too far. And now it's disrupting the competition. And it's being disrespectful to your opponent. Jake, I think this has to stop right now.
Yeah, I just don't think it's that complicated of an issue. There's very clearly a rule in place, and let's throw that part of the conversation out. It's very clearly a line in the sand. Hey, throw the tortillas, but don't, can we avoid throwing pocket knives and bottles of water and coins and other stuff? You guys are children. You guys are childish. This is ridiculous. And I don't know. Again, it's not the masses. It never is, right? It never is the whole stadium causing an issue. It's that, one in every 1,000 fan who just takes it upon themselves to go out and do it. And, Joey talked a lot about how, when you do that, you make it about you and not about the team, or about, you make it about you instead of, the whole fan base. And I think Joey is exactly right. I think the problem is that, what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? The only thing you can do is, and again, I'm assuming they have cameras everywhere at Jones AT&T, and they can go and review footage and stuff. But I just, short of that, I don't know what you do. You're not going to put nets up all over the stadium, dude. You're not going to, you're not doing that. So I just don't know. I don't blame Lance. I certainly, don't blame Joey. I don't think this is his fault directly, but again, when you're the head coach, it's your job to come out and torch this stuff. And I feel like my only thing for Joey would be hey, let's stop coach speaking it. Let's stop being nice and simply say hey, this is totally and completely unacceptable. We can't have people or teams or colleagues coming here of highly respected programs to play us on a football field and having them worrying about their safety. The only thing they should be worried about is winning the football game. That's or playing the football game, however you want to verbalize it. That's it. They shouldn't have to worry about issues like this. So I just don't think it's that complicated.
You're dominating on the field. And I think it's a cool tradition. I think it is, you turned a note of disrespect into something cool. One time a game, it's cool. But like Joey also said, at some point, this is going to come back to get us. Right. And if you're going to, the batteries, the coins, the water bottles, the pocket knives, all of the, various items that we've heard about being thrown at Texas Tech games onto the opponent's sideline, at some point, somebody's going to get seriously injured. And in my opinion, this has just gone too far now. It doesn't make Jones AT&T a better home field advantage. It makes you suckers, right? Because you're good fans. I've said this all along about when we talked about this last year. Lubbock is one of the most difficult places to go and play, not because they throw things on the field, because they're really good fans. Texas Tech supports that football team, or Texas Tech fan supports that football team and basketball program almost unlike any other.
Yep.
But you cannot put people's safety in jeopardy. It's not funny. It's not cool. It's you being idiots. And you're better than that, frankly. And I don't know that it would change. Lopes fan Gabe, why wouldn't you put up nets in a stadium, though? Baseball is done it across spring training and major league facilities everywhere. Tech fan play stupid games and win stupid prizes. You're not wrong. I just don't. Please don't. Right? Like this is not unlikely.
Because why would you ruin the experience for 95% of your fan base over a small majority of people? That's why. Because
isn't that what I said about baseball?
Yeah, I mean, the difference is that baseball is different because people aren't paying attention, and you've got a baseball coming at their head at over 80 miles an hour in most cases.
Yeah.
And you're talking about people dying in the stands. That's not going to work, right? Like, obviously, this is more of a, hey, we don't want people throwing things at us situation. I don't believe that currently this is a life and death situation. This is hey, we hate this and we want this fixed. And really, the crux of Lance's argument is, hey, we put a rule in place for a reason. Why are we picking up the flag? And I agree with that. It needs to be enforced.
But I don't think Lance was upset about tortillas. Dion wasn't upset about tortillas. I think
they're not. They're not.
Other opponents are not upset about tortillas, right? Like they're upset about the other stuff that gets thrown by the vocal minority. And this is a team that is likely going to win the conference championship. And if you get into this situation, let's say they go to the playoff and they host a home playoff game. Can you imagine doing this at a home playoff game where you're throwing dangerous things at officials and the opponent? Like, you got to be better than that. And I just don't understand why it continues. I don't understand why Texas Tech fan continues to damage its brand by doing stuff like this, because now it's a national story. Now it's not just us on our little old podcast talking about Texas Tech. Now it's a national story. And everybody's talking about this. And I think it's unfortunate because it's no longer about winning and losing games, right? Lance is not the first coach who has vocalized this. Win or lose the game. This comes up almost every home game now. And you just got to stop. You just got to stop. Aaron Wilson, we can do better. Yeah, you're one of the biggest Texas Tech fans on this show. And I hear from you guys all the time. We have a huge following in Texas Tech land, and I totally get it.
Look at his comment above that, dude. Directly above it, his first comment right there. I mean,
best team in the Big 12, and this is the storyline, though. That's the issue. That's my point. Is now, do we have other issues at Tech? Yeah. Pretty much exactly what I said about Baron Morton's coming true. Right now he's hurt and he's doubtful. They want to look at another quarterback at Tech, and there's only one way to do that. Right? So, yeah, that's a huge issue. I think there are a lot of issues. I think Texas Tech is the best team in that conference right now. It's Texas Tech or it's BYU. And I think that the defense at BYU is better than Tech's defense. The offense at Texas Tech is better than everybody else's offense. And yet we're talking about throwing coins and pocket knives and batteries on the field in Lubbock. I just don't. It'll never register with me when you're playing this quality of football to do stupid stuff like this. I'll never understand it. I'll never understand. Well, I get it, but Aaron, people are not just going to ignore this. I think it's actually very dangerous. I have been in an NFL stadium where a water bottle landed about 3 feet to my left. It was intended for a player on the field when I was standing in the Edward Jones Dome in St. Louis on the field, and a water bottle. And it is, when a water bottle's thrown from the stands, it has significantly more velocity because of the downward travel. And if that hits you in the back or the head it is really dangerous. It's not something just to write off, man. Like it's a big deal. Texas Tech head coach pretty much admitted it was an issue to Kansas head coach. He did. And I think part of the issue about the on-field skirmish was Kansas got their ass beat. I mean, Kansas got beat. You went to Lubbock and you found out Texas Tech is the best team in the conference.
Mm-hmm.
So there was a little more heat and vitriol. Lance Leipold did not bring this up in the postgame or to Joey because they lost. I think Lance was upset. His sideline was getting rained down on with foreign objects. And it's got to stop. The awkward guy, because Texas Tech fan is mentally challenged. Stop, dude. And you wonder why I don't read your comments. If Tech wants to throw tortillas, just throw them at the Tech players and not the visiting players. Nobody cares about the tortilla thing. It gets much worse when you start throwing other things. Again, it's the batteries, the coins, the water bottles. Leipold says a pocket knife. Like, that's the stuff that gets you in trouble. Sounds like Monty is picking BYU at home against Utah. Didn't say that. Did not say that. Not at all. Did I say that? I am sure it would not take much to review the tape and find the student doing some of this. No, it would not. Okay, we have Will Hammond, quarterback ain't an issue. Well, but again, and I caution, I've talked about this with Tech now for 3 weeks since the Utah game. The backup quarterback is always the best quarterback on the roster. What happens when he becomes the starter? He's not the backup anymore. So his backup is the best quarterback on the roster. It's not the same thing when you are the starting quarterback. And I think Hammond is a really good quarterback. We've seen that in small stretches. Is he the utility infielder who gets overexposed? Or is he legitimately a number one quarterback? Because I'll just continue to tell you, I don't believe that Baron Morton is the guy you want in a big game against a ranked opponent, especially on the road. He's just not that guy. And I'll continue to tell you that. We've seen it week in and week out now. It's not that guy. But if you're going to make a change, this is not something you should do willy-nilly or lightly. If you're going to make a change and Baron Morton's not going to be your starting quarterback anymore, because you can't just go right back to Baron. That's not going to work. You need to commit and you need to commit and make that happen. And I think it's something you got to be really careful with. Eggy says batteries are crazy, super dangerous. They are very dangerous. Let's see. Excuse, did you just say BYU's defense is better than Pro Football Focus's highest rated defense? Yes, I did. I think there is one team in this conference who's got better linebackers than Tech. And it depends. Tech isn't 100, is not healthy. Their linebacker core, obviously. But BYU's defense is legitimately nasty. I mean, that secondary, I've seen a ton of both, and I am telling you, it's not a huge margin. I think we'll see how long Jack Kelly is out, But I am telling you now that Isaiah Glasker, and you guys don't even know who that is, but I am telling you that Isaiah Glasker might be the best linebacker in the conference. And I am telling you that defense is nasty. They want the fight. They're like I said, they're a bunch of firemen, dude. They want the fire. They want to fight. And I think that is incredible. Because that's very rare when you have a secondary that can take advantage and leverage quarterbacks on their own. And then you throw in a bunch of ferocity up front like BYU and Texas Tech do. The difference is BYU's secondary is they're just full of playmakers. And again, hopefully Jack Kelly's back next week. We'll see. But you look at that game coming for Texas Tech and BYU in Lubbock. What is that, November 8th, I guess? Dude, that's going to be
we'll see, man.
Unbelievable.
We'll see. I think that BYU's defense is really good. No question about it. I think, again, Tech will have been the best team they've played. And you just never know how, a team's going to react in the moment. How much are they going to be on the field? Like, we'll just see. We'll see. But there's no question the talent's there. No doubt.
Yeah. And I think that the thing that you have to know about Texas Tech's defense is they make plays in the backfield consistently. And you look at 14 tackles for loss against Kansas. I don't care who you're playing. 14 tackles for loss and 9 sacks is really impressive. And inside of all that, you have 5 passes defended. That defense wasn't taking reps off because Kansas sucks. That defense inflicted damage on Kansas. And I think that is really significant. And we're going to get a real good look at who BYU's offense is against an elite defense because Utah's coming to town and Utah's 5-1 playing for their season. And this is why I consistently go back to this is what makes Utah and BYU arguably the best rivalry in the country. They're in the same conference and somebody's season is going to take a massive blow. Because if BYU loses this game, their chances of playing in a conference championship are probably pretty slim. And you look at the dance at BYU, who's 6-0. You look at the dance that BYU's got to do. Utah at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, TCU, who just is hugely disappointing. At Cincinnati and UCF. BYU is running straight uphill. And the difference, obviously, is Texas Tech has their season's over already. They're playing tune-ups. Their best game left is BYU. And Arizona State found out the hard way that BYU or Utah is laying down for nobody. Because that game, and I think obviously without your starting quarterback, and Sims tries his best. If you're a Utah fan, and if you're a fan of the Big 12, the thing that should scare you is Utah didn't have to run the ball or didn't have to pass the ball even a single time to win this game. And Arizona State, if there's a front seven that plays harder than Arizona State, that plays harder, I didn't say is better than, that plays harder with more want to. I haven't seen him yet. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. How about a 3-run home run from Jorge Polanco to put the Mariners up 6-3 in Toronto in the top of the 5th with 1 out? And the Blue Jays have had chance after chance in this game and have not cashed. And now all of a sudden, this is who the Mariners are. And
don't even think about messing with me.
I am sitting in Seattle, Washington, and this town is Mariners crazy. There are entire buildings, condo towers, having watch parties while they're in Toronto. There's entire condo buildings having watch parties on their pool decks. And it's a ton of them. Like, this town is crazy, and now they're on the verge here. Now it's only at the top of the 5th, but they're on the verge of going up 2-0 in Toronto. to start a series. How about that? My goodness. That is impressive. It's not a fluke anymore.
And by the way, the Blue Jays rookie, can't remember his name, the pitcher, came back to earth today. So,
He did. And listen, I think it's incredibly difficult to win in the playoffs. And I think when you start looking at guys like Yasavich, I guess his name is. I don't mean to mispronounce that, Trey Yasavich.
Savage.
I
have no idea how to say it.
Sports Center says Yasavich, so that's what I'm going with. Yasavich today, 4 innings, 4 hits, 5 earned, 3 walks, 4 Ks. And then the bullpen in Toronto, which has been pretty good, Louis Varland came in and gave up a bomb. And all of a sudden now the game feels impossible to overcome. I know we still talking college football, but man alive, Sam Darnold was throwing some perfect balls to JSN. Dead on target, full stride. That's a good offense. That is a good offense. Hey, playa, what's up? Good to see you, Dad. Joey, Monty the mayor of his condo building party, free tortillas for everyone. There you go. There you go. Why are you stalking May? My Cougs have a major weakness on defense, though, which is consistently getting pressure on the QB. But I think your linebackers, and I guess it depends on how you look at it, but your linebackers and your secondary, I think that's when you look at and you say, okay, how do I feel about a quarterback having an extra second and a half? Let's say, or having a second and a half, 2 seconds, maybe 2.5. With that secondary and those linebackers, they tackle very well. So I don't know. I think these two teams are very close. BYU and Texas Tech are very, very close. And we're less than a month away from that game in Lubbock, and I'm here for it. I am here for it. No doubt. Let's see. They won't what? If BYU loses, the only way they make it to the college football playoff is beating Tech. And I think that's not the best way you want to get to the college football playoff.
No, it's
because
not.
I think Tech is going to be very difficult to beat, especially at home. Especially at home. So what is this Texas Tech team? Is this something we'll never see again with spending 1 year before House is implemented? It's implemented already. Or can Tech sustain this? I don't know that you can sustain the level of spending without a significant influx of private money. Because one donor spending tens of millions of dollars is not a sustainable business model.
No.
And I think when you look at the future of NIL and you really start to try and diagnose what is the diagram, what are the X's and O's of money into a program and winning, it's probably not one guy spending tens of millions of dollars. In fact, I know it's not. And Texas Tech, the other thing that nobody talks about is Texas Tech has dramatically ramped up their business enterprises at the university level. So I don't think that this is just how Texas is going to go forward. I think Cody Campbell is enabling them a window of time to build a business, which they are aggressively and actively doing in Lubbock. And I think they're doing a great job of it. I think Texas Tech is going to set the bar. If they can do what they're doing now, a year and 2 years from now, that'll be the biggest thing, because you've got guys in the NFL. And what's unique about Texas Tech is you hired a high school legend to be your head coach. He hired some friends to be his coordinators, and they got their ass kicked and didn't get fired. And then you had a donor come in, which enabled them to stock their systems with the talent they need to compete and win. And I will say it until I am blue in the face on this show repeatedly for years now. The system you run is largely dependent on the players you have. And Their biggest issue under Joey McGuire had been his refusal, his rigidity to his system. He was not willing to change his system to fit the players. Well, now, fuck it, you don't have to. I'm just going to go out and buy the players to fit my system. And that's what he did. And it's worked out splendidly. They're legitimately good. And again, I hear a lot of Big 12 fans saying, well, they bought a team. You wish your team had been bought.
Seriously.
I mean, you can see how many years in a row are we going to say this about Deion Sanders, Joey McGuire? Who's buying their team next year? I wish it was Oak State or Baylor. I wish it was TCU, because I'm telling you, Baylor's going to change head coaches. I really worry that Sonny Dykes is in trouble at TCU because they looked horrendous this weekend. Again. Now, I hope they make changes, and I love Sonny. That's not your cowboy, and you don't have a horse.
No.
Right? So if Penn State's going to fire James Franklin 2 weeks after taking Oregon to overtime, how much leash does Dave Aranda have? Oh, that's right. Nobody's talking about winning national championships at Baylor. Nobody's talking about winning national championships at TCU.
Nope, just burning another calendar year down.
It's passing the time. They're talking about winning national championships in Lubbock, as they should be. So I struggle with this, and I know you're tired of hearing me say this about the Big 12. The bar is super low in the Big 12. Super low. Unless you're Utah, BYU and Texas Tech, Arizona State. Right? There are some in this conference who aren't cutting player salaries and then publicly talking about how their players took a pay cut to come back because they love it so much in Ames, and then losing games they have no business losing. You can't cut salaries, I don't know, in Stillwater and think you're going to win games. Doesn't work that way. You don't cut spending, you increase spending.
Yes.
That's the game of college football. Lubbock gets it. Provo gets it. Salt Lake City gets it. Waco, Fort Worth, Stillwater, Manhattan, Lawrence, Ames. You guys, hello?
This thing
on, right? I'm not trying to be a dick about it, but it's not difficult. Look at the performance that Utah got this weekend. The offensive coordinator, the quarterback, and their best wide receiver are all through the transfer portal, and they're all getting paid. You don't have to like it, but it's the reality. You know, like I just...
Yeah, I mean, they're very clearly those and those not, right? Have and have not. Like,
no. It's the have-nots who won't. It's
yeah,
not
the won't-nots.
Not capable. Yeah, the won't-nots. It's not that you're not capable. Fuck, dude, you know how much money is in Fort Worth? How much money? Guy, do you understand how much money is in Waco?
All money.
There's a lot of money there. Do you know how much money is in Stillwater? There's enough money there, but you won't spend it. So don't talk to me about wanting to win championships. Don't be disappointed, because BYU went out and bought a basketball roster.
That's what they do.
BYU went out and lost Jake Retzloff to Sex in the City, and they just started a true freshman, and he looks amazing.
In God's name, image, and likeness.
Joey Smith from above making shit happen, or are we really doing a good job developing players? Because BYU has spent a ton of money on equipment and infrastructure to teach guys to play football.
Program.
They're feeding them well. They're weight training them well, and they're educating them well. You're teaching them how to play football.
Because you're a football program.
But we're not doing that in Stillwater or Fort Worth or Waco or apparently, and again, no, I had K-State fan in my mentions this weekend. Oh, are you going to make it wrong? No, hell no. Because K-State, I got news for you. What am I impressed with?
And what are you wrong about? You had one good
what
week,
am I
and now all of a
impressed with?
sudden, now all of a sudden we're wrong?
You beat TCU? You beat TCU, and I'm supposed to be like, well, goddamn, Avery Johnson, Heisman Trophy, boys.
K-State
No.
and TCU playing for the irrelevant bowl. Who cares?
And
Nice.
I love the K-State fan. I love the K-State fan who was trying to get into me over the weekend about, wow, Josh Hoover, he's not nearly as good as Avery Johnson. I said, well, Avery Johnson threw for 198 yards and 3 touchdowns, and his QBR and his rate of efficiency and his efficiency in passing. And hey, I'd also remind you that Josh Hoover was 26 of 47 for 376 and 3 scores. Now, I threw two picks. But you disguised Josh Hoover 67% of the snaps of his dropbacks. You guys understand? 67% of the dropbacks for TCU against K-State. K-State ran disguise. And he still threw for 376 yards. And I would also remind you, why I'm not impressed? They put up 448 yards of total offense on you. Nah, I'm not impressed.
We keeping a buck right now. We ass.
Not impressed. Not impressed. Not impressed. You had the ball. Do you guys understand? K-State had the ball 36 minutes and 19 seconds. You want to hear a number that'll blow your mind? TCU had the ball 23 minutes and 41 seconds, had 448 yards of offense, and had 19 first downs. So let me get this right. You had the ball 14 more minutes, and you had 1 more first down than TCU. No, call me not impressed.
Damn.
Right? Bros.
And so then is the instant reaction that it's just a natural reaction for you guys to jump into buddies, DMs and be like, oh man, you were wrong and we were right. And Avery's the savior. Just look at his golden locks. Come on, dude.
And then when you point this out, where does K-State fan go?
You're a homer is the first part.
To bed, I guess, because they stop replying. Right? It's just, and again, if we're talking about fan bases, this is why I love that we have so many Texas Tech fans on the show. You guys will actually stand and you're getting punched in the face, but you don't go down easily.
Well, listen, when you have one good year out of the last 10, I'd be standing up too, dude. So enjoy your year. Hell yeah. Do it.
Excuse me. They're finally putting money into the football program at Kansas. Cannot do it all at once. You can't. I agree. It's going to take time. And I don't know. And this is the sad part for a guy like Lance at Kansas, Lance Leipold. Todd Graham built you a stadium in Tempe. What happened to Todd Graham? Oh, he got run out of town after he built you the stadium. He raised all the money.
And who did you run his ass out of town for? Oh, that's right. He's gone too.
Herman Antonio Pierce.
Oh, so you guys ran Todd Graham out to get sunshine into your eyeballs and onto your soul.
God damn it.
So then you could have Herm in there. And then you fired Herm because of all the violations and all the debauchery. And now you got Kenny. So, look, I just think it's really clear, dude. At some point, you got to close the shades on the past and get going in the right direction.
You know what the funny thing is? That's not even direct sunlight. That's a reflection off of a high rise.
Damn.
Yeah. That's east, that's west, and that's hitting. There's this cool window. So I moved into a condo tower in downtown Seattle.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
There's a building out my office window here that's got a swimming pool hanging off the building. The swimming pool is hanging off the building. And it is an all glass building, and that's the sun reflection. Craziness. Absolutely craziness. Mason Palazzolozo or whatever. Mason, how are you, bud? This is exactly why we need to get an NIL cap. It will bring balance to all teams. Not all colleges have gigantic money like Texas A&M. Dude, I think you need a salary cap in college football desperately. JP says, and BYU got a mission and 2-year older players. Well, some, not all. But yeah, that's absolutely, and it's not an advantage. It's not an advantage. Avery Johnson has one good game is not as important as Arch Manning having one good game. No, because the entire future of Texas football rests on Arch Manning's shoulders. I would agree with that. Does Sark leave if Penn State calls? Does Sark leave Texas?
Nah, he didn't seem like a Penn State kind of guy to me.
Oh, really?
He's already got what they can offer. What are they going to offer?
I think it's much easier to win in the Big Ten than the SEC. And can you imagine the Sark recruiting machine?
Yeah.
In the Big Ten?
Yeah. Hey, man.
God
yeah.
damn. I don't think Sark would take the job. He'd take the phone call, though. Wouldn't he take the phone call?
Yeah, you always take the phone call.
I think he'd take the. Would Kalen DeBoer take the phone call?
I have a hard time with that.
Is Alabama a better job than Penn State? Exponentially.
Yeah.
But I don't. Avery Johnson hitting the portal. Yeah, they said that last year too. Which is crazy that TCU isn't doing it because they have the biggest football pedigree out of the 4 Texas teams in the Big 12. They just played for a natty and we never see them come back, right? Like how and this is my problem with the state of Texas. Like if you think of Baylor's got the resources to do it. Yet they're not.
They don't.
Texas?
They won't.
TCU?
Again, same thing.
They have the money.
Cooler helmets, still won't do it.
Won't do it. And then you have Tech. And I think it's really rough that if you are if you're TCU and again, Houston, I understand it because they're on this arc of improvement, right? But even Houston, what is Houston now? 5-1, right? Houston's, and I want to look, but I think they're 5-1, and their only loss is that Tech game. Yeah, because they beat the brakes off of Oak State. What? Well, you're right.
Bro,
Oak State doesn't have any brakes left, but
yeah, bro, the brakes on the shit box have worn down already. I mean,
they beat the axles off of Oak State.
Like, dude, is there anything good in Stillwater, bro?
No.
Literally anything.
No, but
I mean, they're the epitome of this is why we can't have nice things, dude.
Yes, but Houston's on this. Houston's on this arc of improvement, right? So I actually think they are investing in football. They just have to now keep building. But Tech is the one crushing the game. You know, Tech is the one crushing the game. I think that's hugely important. And the Seattle Mariners just keep raking. Now you're getting a leadoff triple
to Garver.
This is dude, the Seattle Mariners are one of the coolest stories in baseball. And Jake, we going to a Blue Jay. Jake is going to come to Seattle next week.
Mm-hmm.
We going to a Mariners Blue Jays game.
If they're in town, yeah, we should.
Probably not. You know, it's fine. It just is what it is. Rob Whitworth. I think Fat Ass is one of the best stories in baseball. And I actually think, and they do a great job of promoting Dumpa.
Fat Dumpa.
Right? They do the Mariners are this thing in Seattle where people just expected them to fail. And then you look at, I'm just watching the replay of this triple. He's even surprised he made it to third.
What's up, motherfuckers?
But you get Dumper, Cal Raleigh, the catcher for the Mariners. You get Cal Raleigh hitting 60 bombs. And when he hits a home run, there is a visceral reaction in this town. He is such a star here.
It really hit me.
And I don't know how you explain it. I really don't. I obviously I'm not from Seattle and I probably won't live here long, but it's a great city for sports. And it's one of the things that I'm really surprised about is what a good sports town Seattle is. And speaking of Seattle sports, anybody watch the UW game this weekend? No? Williams made history. Did you guys see that? Now, I don't assume that anybody, I think we have 0 Washington fans on this show. UW fan Jim, right? They played Rutgers. Not a game you're going to pay attention to. But I've been telling you to keep an eye on Damon Williams. I think he is now one of 16 players in the history of college football who's thrown for 400 and run for 100 in the same game.
Some shit happened.
He's got 1,600 yards passing and 10 touchdowns. Have you seen a single snap of his stuff? Not many people have. And I think that's a transfer portal guy. If I'm UW, I'm a little nervous about that because he's doing things that nobody's paying attention to largely because he plays at UW.
Yep.
Right? That's the issue. Okay, Oak State James for $5. I presided over Karen's wedding. Oh boy, was she did. So are you juicy? So she's a Karen. But isn't this your daughter? You just called your daughter a Karen. Okay. Yes, I want Jim Knowles to come back to Stillwater. No, you don't. You're not an Oak State fan. So why?
You're a TCU fan. Why are you commenting on this?
I'll never understand it. I'll never understand. It's a disgrace that you're talking about Oak State when you're a TCU fan.
Okay, so do you like the person that your daughter married? What's the sitch? Is it drama? Is it straightforward? Like, what are we doing?
What's the sitch?
Yeah. I need some. You're the stadium guy. You're going to be the wedding guy today. We need details.
Millennials are such douchebags.
Yeah.
What's the cinch? Hey, bro, what's the cinch?
Yeah.
Hey,
Brother.
The whole millennial, before we get back to ripping Oak State James, the whole millennial thing. Like, I was talking to a millennial today about thought process. And this cat, if you assume you're going to fail, aren't you a failure already? Right? It makes me crazy. You guys.
What you want me to say to that?
Your pea pod brains roll around in there. And I think you hear the echo of your brain bouncing off your cranium. You're like, oh, that's a good idea. Let's go smash.
Hell no.
Aaron Wilson for $2. We as a fan base can do better, Jake. It's students.
Okay.
James Rawson, the newest member of the Monty Show. 7-3. The Mariners lead the Blue Jays. This game's over.
Yeah, how old was this person that you're just lopping into the millennial generation?
30 on the dot.
Damn.
30 on the nice try. Oh, they're 37, dude.
It's
No, there's
embarrassing.
30
dude.
on the dot.
Whatever.
Vegas Gunner for $5. If you had to rank them today, which is the best job? Wisco, Arkansas, Nebraska.
We keeping a buck right now. We ass.
All ass, except for Nebraska.
No, Nebraska's a really good job. I don't know what Wisconsin is anymore. Luke Fickell failing at Wisconsin is stunning. It's unspeakable that because he's failed. He's out. He's going to get fired. Arkansas just doesn't have money. And if they have money, they're not spending money. And if Jarrett's going to spend that money, okay, now we can have the conversation. There's no question right now, if I was ranking them now, Nebraska 1, Arkansas because it's SEC 2, and Wisconsin 3rd. Because I just don't know that Wisconsin's willing to do what it takes. That'd be my feeling. Get a Stoops and Stillwater, really rub OU raw, boy. Can you imagine Bob Stoops took the Oak State job? How, like, my God. So, dude, Gumby says the nomenclature keeps changing. Okay.
What do you mean?
I do not know the proper nomenclature for these various ages. Wasn't it Gen X? Gen Z?
No.
Gen douchebag?
Yes.
What is it?
Baby boomers,
Yes.
Gen X,
Yes.
millennials, Gen Z, Gen Alpha.
Fuck off. Gen Alpha. Shut up. Like, just, you're all betas. Like,
That's right, T.
It's their name. What do you want me to do, bro? Like, what do you want me to do?
I should get to punch you in the face. If I say to you, hey, what generation are you? Alpha, I should get to punch you in the face. I'm an alpha, bro. No, bro.
We don't take any shit.
Yeah, no, you're not. You're not. You know, it.
It's their name. I don't know what to tell you, bro.
No, it's not.
I don't know what to tell you.
Brother. Their name is Stupid Face.
Apparently.
My parents had sex because they were bored. That's what their generation is.
Yeah.
I'm Gen Z. What are you? My parents had sex because they were bored.
Imika ek big boo.
Exactly. Like, just I'm over it. You're all betas, quote Uncle Monty 2025. Exactly. Right. Laser face. Okay. I like it. I like it a lot. Jake, right now today, Utah, BYU in Provo +3.5. Which way you leaning?
Utah.
Why?
Gotta take Utah because I think that it's the best defense that Bear Bachmeier will have seen so far. I think that it's the rivalry. So it is the most heated, emotional game for the freshman quarterback. And I think ultimately Utah's not going to be able to hold down the BYU run game, only to a certain extent, obviously. You're going to do your best, but obviously they're still going to be able to run the football. But I do think that if Utah can generate, a turnover or two on the road, that's when you start playing with fire, playing against them. So, to me, I would say that Utah wins this game in a tight one.
Okay. Jake Retzloff was in a tight one.
Allegedly.
Again, I'm a bad person. I freely
And I'll
admit
see you
it.
in Valhalla.
Yeah. Paxton says, give me Utah. Okay. Paxton,
Bro.
good to see you. Okay. Famlor says, I think BYU. I think it's going to be really close. Really, really close.
Well, this is a BYU Utah show, so you should be fine.
I was born when I was because January's cold.
Okay.
See, so they were inside and they were using friction to heat the home. If you know what I'm saying. My honor code is better than your honor code because I'm a bad mother. Shut your mouth. Okay. You shut your mouth.
Up, Donnie.
You shut your mouth, boy. Rob, the Holy War is so big this week, so important to both teams. The winner makes it to the Big 12 championship to face Texas Tech. Could be very true.
Can you measure it?
Could be very true. Aggie, 28-27 BYU. Will Ferrin with another game winner. Yeah, the guy could kick a field goal. He has not been ideal lately, though he made a couple big ones the other night. Mike Smith. Big 12 needs BYU to win. I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I think I would agree with that. But, is Indiana the best team in the country right now? Oh, boy. Say it.
No.
I agree.
Ohio State's the best team in the country.
I'm sorry, who?
Ohio State.
Ohio State.
However, I will give you your flowers on this one because this was an actual performance here. Okay. Fernando Mendoza, certified killer. Give him his flowers. Great quarterback. No question about it. Can make all the throws. Broke their back running it, especially in the red zone. Defense, you don't want to mess with that defense. So
wait, are you saying I got it right on another quarterback?
Well, you didn't get it right on Arch this week, but it's fine. I think that the biggest thing out of this game, yes, Fernando Mendoza coming out party, yes. But I think the bigger thing was Oregon just not being able to handle the physicality of Indiana. I mean, to me, that's where this game
Oregon doesn't have a defense.
I don't know that I would say they don't have a defense. I think they don't have a defensive line that can get home. That's their problem.
I think that Ohio State's the best team in the country. I think it's going to be very difficult for Indiana to miss the college football playoff.
Right.
I think their schedule is lacking any quality opponents. Michigan State, UCLA, Maryland, Penn State, Wisco, Purdue. They won't see any.
Is UCLA the best team left on their schedule?
Yeah, I think it probably is. But that game's on Epstein Island. So the Knuckle Deep Boys are
fine.
Never mind. Penn State's the best team left on their schedule. I think that game's at Penn State. Seriously, I think Penn State's the best team left on their schedule. Penn State's that team that is going to get up for that game. And I'm curious, where's the letdown for Indiana? Because they do have Maryland and Purdue on the road. You're not losing those games.
Well, UCLA would be the one, right? I mean, I think you're gonna.
It's that's in Bloomington. I mean, it's not Penn State falling apart. So Indiana's going to win that game. My question is, can they go to Epstein Island and win? It's the biggest question. That's what Indiana's got left on their schedule. And then it's probably Ohio State or USC in the conference championship game.
Yeah.
And I think it better be Ohio State because there's no excuse for Ohio State, who's got Wisconsin, Penn State, Purdue, UCLA, Rutgers, and Michigan left. I don't want to hear a single effing word because Michigan's a bad football team. And I just will continue to tell you.
Yeah, and they show us every week.
I don't know how many more times I can say this, that Bryce Underwood's going to transfer. You are wasting that kid. He had an atrocious performance and was laughing on the sideline. And I think that's a bigger deal than people are letting you know. Bryce Underwood was 15 of 24, 207, 2 touchdowns and a pick. And he ran 5 times for -4 yards. Why is this kid being asked to be a pocket passer?
On this team.
Run the football. That's what you do. Run the football. But when you're poorly coached, you don't do things you should be doing. And I look at Michigan. That's a bad football team. That is a bad football team.
I mean, so you have, obviously V is the best team in the Big Ten.
Yes.
Are you going Indiana then Oregon, I'm presuming?
I don't know what Oregon is. I think USC right now. I would take USC the way that Maiyava's playing. I think Oregon got horrendously exposed defensively. And I could not agree with you more that I will continue to sit here and knee pad Fernando Mendoza because nobody else is doing it. And I am amazed nobody else is doing it. I think that kid is the world. I think he is a really good quarterback. And I'm also going to say, if you're not going to pressure Fernando Mendoza, just don't show up.
Yeah.
Don't show up because he will eat you for lunch if you do not pressure him.
The thing I was surprised with for Oregon there was I wasn't surprised by, Fernando Mendoza in the sense that, like, I knew he was dual threat. I've seen a little bit of him, obviously not like every single game, every single snap, but I've seen enough to know. But I think what was surprising is that he was given room to run. He was given there did not seem to be a ton of respect for that side of his game. From Oregon. It didn't seem like that was something that they were like really prepared for. And I'm not saying that he's a run first guy and that, it's heavy in your prep, but I do think he's good enough running that you got to be prepared for.
You got to respect it.
And I do think in the second half, when you were clearly the inferior team, it would have been worth your time to run a little bit of spy on him even. I mean, I was surprised that, especially in the red zone. I mean, I know that it's the red zone and there's a lot going on, but dude, like you need to pick your poison. Like you either need to ask your defense to man up and play man across the board, or you need to change your scheme a little bit, because they just simply put, like, Indiana just out physicaled you from the get on both sides of the ball. Like, you did not win the trench war at all. I felt like the whole, like, in the middle of this game, you've got Signetti getting after, I can't remember the guy's name. I think it was Bishop, 22, I think, getting after that kid. And then that kid comes out in the second half and just absolutely responds, which I thought was great. But I don't know, man. I'm always surprised when Dan Lanning gets beat, his team gets beat physically. I don't feel like you see that a ton. They're usually able to overcome that, and they just were not able to.
Yeah.
In this
and
one.
I think I told you last week, I do not trust their defense. I think they have a lack of depth on their defense. That's what worries me about them. And I think I'll continue to be worried about that after seeing this, but that's me. Let's be honest. For real, did you really think Indiana could beat LSU, Ole Miss, Alabama, Georgia, or even Vandy? Yes, I do. Yeah, because they're going to show up and not be scared. They're not, and they don't have the problem they had last year. They have a quarterback who can throw the football down the field. They did not have that last year. And I think when you showed up at Notre Dame last year, you weren't prepared to play against a really talented and deep defense. This Indiana offense, like, the best defense on your list is probably Alabama, right? Alabama or LSU. They have the horses to. Gunnar Stockton's not a guy you want to trust to win you a game. And I think when I start looking at where the SEC is learning the hard way, again, I'll keep telling you I'm always right, you hyenas. They're learning the hard way that having parity is what you need to get multiple teams in the college football playoff. And you also need two absolute savages. The SEC doesn't have that. They have too much parity. And so they'll get multiple teams in the playoff, but they're not going to get 5. Mm-hmm. And I think you look at Georgia right now. Georgia beating Auburn was really important. But Ole Miss is going to take Georgia's soul. And if that happens, it would be at home. And that would be really tragic for Georgia, because their season would come to an end. Because you can't lose 2 of your first 5 and call yourself a conference contender in the SEC. Can't do it. And they still have Texas left as well. So, I mean, we're a long way from home in the SEC. But this is not going to be an easy finish to this season. But, yeah, I think Indiana can compete with anybody.
Yeah, I think Indiana is one of the most physical programs in the country right now. And I think that I'm definitely on the SEC side of the SEC versus the Big Ten conversation without a question. I think the SEC is a better conference top to bottom. Yeah. But I do think that one of the things that has leveled out a little bit is the top of the Big Ten can compete physically with the top of the SEC. And that was not always the case. The Big Ten is a conference that, to me, hid under the guise of, hey, we're big up front, we want to run the football, and this is Michigan, and this is...
What does that mean, the top of the Big Ten? All two of them?
V and Penn State, and, like, for years, before the Pac-12 teams got to the Big Ten. I feel like the Big Ten was, hey, we're going to turn around and hand it off, and we're going to try to road grade you, and that's the brand of the Big Ten. And the brand of the SEC was, hey, well, our linebackers are more than happy to smash their face against your running back, and that means that your offensive line doesn't really matter as much. And then what we saw is that the SEC started to win more national championships, so they started to retain more talent, and so the gap widened, and then the Pac-12 meltdown happened, and you picked up Oregon and Washington. And obviously Washington hasn't contributed at a high level yet in the Big Ten, but you're just starting to see some of the leveling happening. So to which I say, if you're saying Indiana physically can't compete with the SEC or somehow is going to have a problem, I think the Oregon game showed you that they're more than happy to go. Like the silent count that they rolled out at Autzen is elite level preparation, in my opinion. That's you being prepared, being ready to go, and not being intimidated by the moment on any level. And that's you know.
Well, then the big question is, Jake, who do you have winning the Heisman Trophy right now?
Well, I mean, I think that, Fernando Mendoza's got the best win. I mean, I think now that we've seen him beat Oregon, I think the Dante Moore win over Penn State is nullified, right? I mean, they've each got equally good wins, because at that time, Penn State was obviously, I don't remember their exact ranking, but obviously ranked really high. And they fell off. And then Indiana comes to Autzen, again, a road game, and beats Oregon. So to me, I feel like, Indiana and Fernando Mendoza have the best win so far. And I think that, the season just has to play out and we have to see what's going on. But I don't think if you look at, let's just say Oregon's schedule the rest of the way, I mean, you don't have another get back game until SC, assuming that SC continues to win and stays ranked and continues to climb the stack. SC right now ranked 20th. I mean, you go, that's a home game. So that's probably your best chance, but again, you look at, Indiana's got, Penn State left. So I don't know, man. I think that, I agree. I believe it was Kirby or maybe Mario Cristobal who had said that the Heisman should be handed out after the playoffs are done. I agree with that because we start to see some head-to-head matchups and we can really see what these guys do in huge games. But, I mean, I would probably say right now it's Fernando Mendoza with that win.
No. You shallow millennials never get it right.
Yeah, I know. You're going to go with Ty Simpson. I know.
Unquestionably. And I don't think it's close. Honestly, I think Fernando Mendoza is a hell of a football player. And I think the expectations are exponentially higher at Alabama. And I think when you do what he did against a really good Missouri team, and you throw for 300 or you throw for 3 touchdowns and 200 yards, I think Fernando Mendoza is second. But I think it's really close with Ruben Bain. And what we tend to do right now is, well, could it really be Ruben Bain or Ty Simpson? Because Fernando Mendoza played the game of the week and everybody watched. So now it's Fernando Mendoza.
Wasn't that how it works?
No, I mean, it is, but is that whoever wins it? I'm going to tell you it's not, because I think Miami having the bye week, now heading for Louisville, Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, NC State, Virginia Tech, and Pitt, Ruben Bain's going to start to eat. And I think he's going to be a very close second to whoever wins the Heisman. And right now, I honestly think it's Ty Simpson, because it is going to be very difficult for a defensive guy to win it. And for some of the guys, I don't think there's any question. There's a number of defensive guys who belong in the conversation, but the only 2 guys who deserve to, should I say, be in the conversation to win it, Ruben Bain or Arvil Reese are the only 2 that I would. Reese is. I think Ohio State needs to play in big games. And I don't think they're going to play in many big games left. And that's the problem. And Reese is going to have to really put up huge numbers every chance he gets. And it's just not going to happen. And I think that's going to be problematic. So I think Ruben Bain's the only defensive player who's got a legitimate shot, because Miami is going to be in games that they shouldn't be in. They're going to have a fight at SMU. That's in Dallas. If you look on the front of the SMU jersey, it says Dallas. Mm-hmm. I think they're going to have a fight at Pitt, even though I think Pitt is probably, Pitt's good enough to beat anybody. They just don't, even though they beat Florida State this weekend. But you can't lose to West Virginia and Louisville back to back. So we'll see. But I just think there's going to be opportunities for Bain that Reese won't have. So, and I think that's largely the same thing Like I've talked a lot about Caleb Downs winning a Heisman Trophy. He's not going to win the Heisman Trophy, but he might well be the top defensive player picked in the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think the Heisman Trophy has turned into a quarterback award. And I think Ty Simpson being the starting quarterback at Alabama, I think that's the guy that's going to win it. Yeah, exactly, Gumby. Dallas, boy. That's exactly right. Heisman website, quote, sports journalists are to be the determinants of the award since they are informed, competent, and impartial. Does this input soccer reporters? No, it
Because
does
it's
not.
garbage.
No, it does not. Steely says Reese is amazing. He is, but you know what I mean? Like he won't get, because they don't play anybody. And this is a Big Ten problem. Because your schedule is so soft, there's just not, you're not going to be the game of the week. Are you at any time until the Michigan game, are you going to be the game of the week? You're probably not. And that Michigan game will be the game of the week because there's going to be violence in that game. You mark my words on it. So Famlor says that's why the NFL present and future is going to be draft your defense and pay maybe one guy who is a future Hall of Famer to rush the passer. Well, the edge has really become significantly important in the game of football. It's like the tight end on offense. Linebacker has been diminished, just like Fred Warner's ankle. Too soon?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway, Marcel Reed or Julian Sayin? Julian Sayin. I think Julian Sayin has a chance to be the best quarterback in college football next year.
Bro left.
It'll be him or Arch.
Bro left in an air cast. Let's give him 3 to 5 business days, okay?
My bad. Does Monty or Jake get a vote for the Heisman? They sports reporters know we're stupid. We're not smart people. And I'm fat, so, you know. Crazy locked on guy always has a Heisman vote. They usually do. Hey, Monty, with Oklahoma scheduled and they somehow win out, would Mateer be considered for the Heisman? No, I think that all went away.
bro.
I think that all went away this weekend. He's the reason they lost. So, oof. As a Niner fan, it will be too soon all season, dude. That sucks. You guys have had so many big injuries. I mean, you know, but I got my Bears tonight.
Best team in the NFL, dude.
See, why are you a jerk about it?
I'm not a jerk about it.
How are they the best team in the NFL?
Because you said so, right? I mean, you know.
Stupid ass question.
The patience I have to show with you millennials.
I know we have tiny brains, and you know, I know.
What'd you take out of the NFL this weekend? Oh boy, Naylor goes yard. It is 9-3 Seattle. Is Seattle winning this series right now? I mean, this is impressive. This is impressive. What they're doing in Canada, this is impressive. They're taking Toronto to the woodshed. What?
Bro hit that to the moon, dude.
Yeah, he did. Josh Naylor's from about 35 minutes down the road from that building. He is a local guy in Toronto. And he is up there looking for next, dude. Like, I mean, you know, I think it's going to be very interesting to see how Toronto reacts to this, because I'm not promising you they will. These are the kind of losses that tighten your sphincter beyond repair. Like, I don't know how you bounce back from this. Josh Allen and the Bills have the ball, 7-0 Falcons. And Josh Allen is running for his life and taking a huge hit doing it. What are you doing, Josh? I don't know what it is, and I'm going to, again, say that McDermott plays a huge role in this. There is something awkward about the way the Bills are playing offense this year. Their offense looks, and Josh Allen is being tackled by 3 Atlanta Falcons. And you somehow think that's how the offense is designed. And it doesn't matter if that's how it's designed, but that's how he's running it.
Mm-hmm.
And I that's on a 3rd and 10 in the red zone. 3rd and 10 in the red zone, and that's the play that he ran. And it just, I don't understand what is going on with this offense. And maybe this is emblematic. And then, of course, he turns around and throws a touchdown to Dalton Knox. 7-6, Bills trail the Falcons pending an extra point. But I don't understand what is going on in the NFL. And it's just like this situation with Brian Branch in Detroit. Suspended a game today by the NFL because you lost your emotions and punched a guy in the face last night. Like, this is, and what have I said about the Lions all season long? This is why they're losing. And yes, you've won games. You've gotten away with not paying attention to the details. Can you do that against Kansas City? Who pays attention, who makes their money on details? You can't. And you saw a Detroit team show up last night and just look wildly unprepared defensively for Patrick Mahomes. Just did look like you had never seen the guy on tape. And the idea that they only got 257 yards through the air and 112 on the ground, and they doubled your point output is kind of shocking. But I know that I don't know anything about quarterbacks when I'm telling you what's
power rankings. I mean, honestly.
What's the single biggest weakness with Jared Goff? The guy's a statue. The guy stands in the pocket, and they hit him, and they rush him, and they sacked him once last night, and he has one of his worst games of the year.
But at least, the Wildcat play,
What was that? And then you only ran for 98 yards last night. And Amon-Ra looked like he forgot how to catch a football. Like, it was just, if you're not going to pay attention to the details, you're not going to win big time football games. And the best teams pay attention to the details. And that's why the Lions are routinely not at the top of my power rankings, because I just don't.
And no Lion fan, your excuse about the officiating in that game and how you went full tinfoiler and said that the NFL was, just calling it for the Chiefs, and they get all these calls, and the Kelsey play where he waves his arm and then they throw the flag. You understand that the Chiefs had 13 penalties last week in that awful game against the Jags. Like, the NFL has no reason to help them or hurt them. The NFL is trying to do the best they can with it, and I admit sometimes that's trash. But the nonsense of, we'd have won this game without those calls is absolute nonsense.
Yeah, I don't pretend to understand it. I don't know. I am not sure. And this is one of the weirdest years I've ever seen in the NFL. The AFC North.
What is there to like right now in the NFL? That's my question. What am I like? In all seriousness, what is drawing us to watch the NFL right now, outside of just, hey, this is my team?
Yeah, I don't know.
Because and you were busting my balls over this morning, but even the Steelers storyline, right? Steelers are looking great, 4-1, everything's awesome. You beat the Browns and handle business, but is that really being talked about a lot right now? Like, I don't see that everywhere all over the media that, the Steelers are off to a nice start. What we see is that the Ravens are off to a trash start, right? Like, we see that, hey, Joe Burrow's out the whole year. Hey, Dak and Dallas can't win a game unless they score 40 points. Like there are all these narratives around the league about just like what is this out of the Ravens? 3 points. What the hell is going on in that division?
Nothing good.
Like I just don't know what to. The only thing I'm excited about, honestly, right now is Baker Mayfield, and that all went out of the window as soon as Fred Warner did his ankle like that. Because then I was like, God damn, dude.
His ankle like that.
After his ankle got turned inside out, I was like, dude, this game's over. No Fred Warner, no talent on offense. Like, how are you supposed to win this game, dude? Like,
what did you think of Dylan Gabriel for the Browns?
He did some weird ass stuff in that game. That whole thing about how when the defender went to sack him and then he pulled that guy's helmet up and I don't know, man. That's a really good example, dude.
The weirdest thing he did was completed 55% of his passes.
Yeah.
He looked like he was lost. He was sacked, 6 times?
Yeah.
And I bring that up because it's the Steelers.
6 times, 38 yards.
He looked lost. Dylan Gabriel looked lost. And I think the Steelers are legitimately good. I think their offensive line has gotten better. Their defense has gotten a little better based on the opponent, that you would expect that. The Ravens and Steelers play 2 more times this year. So anything's possible in that division. I can't see the Steelers collapsing. And I know you don't want to hear it. Ayahuasca boy. And I don't know. Did you guys see the Aaron Rodgers press conference yesterday? It was wild.
Oh, fucking God.
Aaron Rodgers press conference from yesterday. See, you guys ask me for it all the time, and then I play it.
And you don't say thank you.
Dumpster raccoon boy.
Boy.
Yes. Go Panda go. Exactly.
Yes.
I don't the NFL is very interesting to me.
It's just a weird year, dude. There's just not that real driving, because we're just all tired about the Chiefs. That's the thing. We want our new story. We want our new car. We want our new thing to get behind. And it's certainly not the Titans and the, hey, we're ass, and now we fired our head coach after he held Cam Ward accountable.
But but Cam Ward, listen, Cam Ward deserves better. Cam Ward deserves better. And they should have fired him. They should have fired Callahan. Because you look at how bad that team is, and I don't think it's any coincidence Mike Vrabel's coming to town next week. And I think that that did not work. Cam Ward is poorly coached and does not know what he's looking at. And I think it is really frustrating to me that the Tennessee Titans fired Mike Vrabel, and all he's done is win since he left. And you look at the progression Drake May has made under Mike Vrabel. How are you not just absolutely stomping on your own balls if you're the Tennessee Titans? Like, you've destroyed Will Levis. You've destroyed Cam Ward. Like, it is one of the worst things I have ever seen. It just, dude that abides. I'm very much enjoying the Chargers succeeding with Jim Harbaugh. He belongs in the NFL, and he's doing what that MFer does. Yeah, blowing up locker rooms next year. They'll win this year and next year, and then he'll be gone. It's just who he is. That is who he is. So we'll see. They destroyed Vince Young. Well, you're not wrong about that. How long before the Dolphins axe McDaniel this week?
It's got to be.
This Tua tagged by your mama Tunga Vai Noah tape. I don't think we have it, but did you see his press conference?
Yeah, dude. I mean, you can't. I don't. So this is why I'm not a Tua guy, partially. How are you the starting quarterback, allegedly the franchise player of this team, and you're out here representing your team this poorly?
He's asking for help. He's asking for help.
Yeah, I guess, dude.
No, he is. He is. Are you telling me he's not? Tua Tagovailoa stood up in front of the media and said, my teammates didn't show up for a players-only meeting, and the ones who did show up, a good number of them were late. He said that out loud. And we're just supposed to believe that he said that accidentally? No, it's over. It's over in Miami. Mike McDaniel needs to he probably should. What you're hoping for is that he resigns. That's what you're hoping for. Because you cannot wait anymore. Like, just looking at some of the reaction online, you can't wait anymore. And for me, I think Mike McDaniel's time has come to an end. And the days of douchebag head coach in the NFL that never were certainly will never be. And he's, again, what I always talk about with these coordinators. He's an excellent coordinator who should never have been a head coach. The warning signs and red flags have been there on South Beach for how long?
Years.
How long?
Arguably when they hired him. Arguably.
They're in Jacksonville right now. They're in Houston right now. They were in Tennessee right now. They're in Minnesota right now. They're in Cleveland right now. They're in Cincinnati right now. They're in Buffalo right now.
Arizona.
They're in Arizona right now. Listen, I am telling you, in the next calendar year, more football head coaches on both levels will be fired than we have ever seen before. Because the appetite for mediocrity is going away because it doesn't pay well. Mediocrity doesn't pay well. Top performers get paid. Mediocre ones do not. That's the rule in football and sports in general. So I think when you look at the way that football is played in the NFL, it's what is such a kick in the nuts about Fred Warner breaking his leg yesterday. And Bosa before that, or you look at
McCaffrey before that.
The problem is right now in their situation in San Francisco, you have Mac Jones who's playing good football. You have a head coach who, in my opinion, needs to go and raid the New York Jets of their players. All right, you can see that San Francisco doesn't need to fire the head coach. They need the GM to do a better job.
Yeah.
Right? The Chicago Bears don't need to fire their head coach. They need the GM to do a better job. The Buffalo Bills need to fire their head coach. The Jacksonville Jaguars can't fire their head coach now, but they will. The Miami Dolphins are overdue. They should have fired him after this week. When Tua Tagovailoa shows up and says guys aren't coming to player-only meetings, he said guys on our roster, Miami Dolphin players, no-showed for a players-only meeting. Do you guys understand what that means? Like, hey, guys, we need to meet because we're all losing. Nah, fuck, I'm not coming. I'm going to sleep in. Well, you've been sleeping in all year, right? Like, that's the worst of the worst. You are desperate when you call a players-only meeting. I mean, and I can play this game all day. I'm warning my friends in Houston. You have warning signs that your team is not good. And your quarterback is massively regressing, in my opinion. I am telling you in Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni, don't wait. I am telling you, like, this is a Bo Nix conversation. Bo Nix is not good. Bo Nix is a backup quarterback. Oh, but Monty. No, but Monty's. Bo Nix throws footballs that I just don't understand what he was looking at. And they win a game over the Jets. And people are like, oh, my God, do they have a Heisman in the NFL? Well, if we did, it wouldn't be for 174 yards passing. I can guarantee you that. Bo Nix ain't that guy. Kyler Murray has never been that guy. We can keep raving about all these dudes. Who are the guys? Who are the real deal? Is Justin Herbert the real deal? MVP candidate.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
They got to win, but if they do, he's right there.
Is Tua Tagovailoa for real?
No.
Not. They lost.
But you see, that to me is the point here, is that we can look at these teams and we can say, okay, like I could have made a really strong case that Mike should have been fired after last season. Like we shouldn't even be here right now. Like
Absolutely.
this should just be, hey, like we have a new head coach. In year one, we're trying to figure this out. You know, that's what we should be saying. But yeah, nobody thinks Liam Cohen is going to lead this team to the promised land.
But it's all by quarterback. It's all really bad quarterback decisions, right? Again, Drake May versus whoever's going to wind up starting in New Orleans. Drake May. Cleveland, Pittsburgh. Russell Wilson sucks. Let me go get Aaron Rodgers, who, again, as much as you guys all hate, 21-30, 235 and 2 scores. They won the game. Dallas. Monty, Dak Prescott sucks. You don't know what you're talking about, fat ass. Dak Prescott, current MVP leader in the NFL. What happened? They lost because that's the worst defense I've ever seen the Dallas Cowboys have under Jerry Jones. Not Dak's fault. Did the Panthers win because of and I want to be nice to Bryce Young, but do you think the Panthers won because of Bryce Young?
No.
No. They won because Rico Dowdell went for 6.1 yards a carry and 183 yards in that game. Like,
and you know why?
Just go down the list.
Took it personally.
Yeah. Seahawks and Jags. There's a reason the Seahawks won that game, and his name is Sam Darnold, as Mike Smith said. There's a reason that the Rams beat the Ravens, because Matt Stafford's that dude. There's a reason. I don't know how the Raiders won that game because Geno Smith sucks. There's a reason the Packers beat the Bengals. There's a reason that the Bucs are getting MVP caliber football out of Baker, and they are 5-1. A legitimate Super Bowl contender in the NFC. Why did the Chiefs beat the Lions last night? Patrick Mahomes was and Jared Goff wasn't. These rules are not changing. They don't evolve. You have a quarterback or you don't. There are red flags or there's not. And I am telling you right now, Miami, Las Vegas, Minnesota, Buffalo. You can just point to the teams that are going to disappoint again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if he needs to go fishing. Is Pete Carroll still capable? I wouldn't have hired him. How is Pete Carroll at 861 years old going to relate to Geno Smith? To any young quarterback you draft? Do they?
Yeah. I mean, they've been working together for years.
Well, then let's go this way. That's a good point. Let's go this way. Pete Carroll wants Geno Smith. Geno Smith then sucks in Las Vegas. Geno Smith is the guy you wanted?
I agree.
So we can kind of play the game, right?
Yeah, I mean, nobody's going to accuse the Raiders of being a good organization, right?
No, I would agree.
Surprised. No one's surprised.
Ain't nobody saying that.
Yeah. No one's surprised.
No, I totally agree.
I think the bigger surprise is that Sam Darnold has continued to play well going to Seattle. You know, I think there were a lot of questions about, switching coaching staffs and all that, but seems to be fine. And
but when did he improve?
Yeah.
Kyle Shanahan.
The great quarterback improver.
Kyle Shanahan. Mac Jones now. It's not a fluke anymore. It's not. Everybody wants to say it's KO in Minnesota. No, it's not. It's Kyle Shanahan. But what's inevitable is the Jets don't need to change coaches. They need an ownership change, and they don't have a quarterback. As a long-suffering Chicago Bears fan, I know all about Justin Fields. Like, I'm watching Michael Penix right now. He ain't it. You can just see he ain't it.
Well, how
throwing
do we know
in the
he
double coverage, hoping for a flag.
Oh, that's right. He's left-handed. Good luck.
But it's not even that. You had Kirk Cousins. That was a bad decision. Which one of them was a bad decision? Because they both can't be good decisions.
Nope.
Kirk Cousins was the bad decision. Then you compounded it by drafting a quarterback.
Doubled down.
I need Andy Reid and Patty Ice. Give me a great offensive mind with a really capable quarterback. And if you don't have that, give me somebody who can toot. Jim Harbaugh, not a great offensive mind, great quarterback maker. Greg Roman is your offensive coordinator, great offensive mind. Right? Like, I just don't see that. I see it in Chicago now. Caleb, I would expect the Bears to come out tonight and look much better. Bye week, first year under Ben, bye week, I would expect them to look better. I would. I think there's so many quarterback bad decisions every year. Cap sizzle. The Bears need to start feeding the players flats and blue cheese until they win a championship again.
Up, Donnie.
Why do you have to be hurtful? Eggy, Monty, are you giving BYU Utah prediction before the end of the show? No. Why would I
it's
do
Monday.
that? Why would I do that? I wouldn't do that. Why is everybody's DMing me, hey, you're going to mention Alec Baldwin's dead? He's not dead. You guys understand that Alec Baldwin, he got into a car accident in the Hamptons, drove his Range Rover into a tree, and there's pictures of him walking around. I don't see stories that Alec Baldwin's dead. TMZ hasn't pronounced him yet, so it's not true.
How has it just gone so sideways for him, bro?
Well, when people die at the barrel of your gun and you're the one that, may have not been as nice or responsible, or you may have had an issue there. Here's my opinion on Alec Baldwin. He's a shithead. He's not a nice guy. He's not a good person. He's not somebody that you want to direct your film or marry your daughter or bang your sister. Like, Alec Baldwin, in my opinion, is a bad dude. And when you put out bad energy, I think you find bad energy. And so I think since that movie set shooting thing and the tapes of him yelling and screaming at people, and all of a sudden now a Range Rover against a tree with him and his brother in it, and they both appear to be fine.
By the way, the tree remains undefeated.
The tree always wins. The tree always wins. I just keep telling people, I don't... when you're a bad person and you treat people poorly,
it's coming back around, dude.
Treat people well. What does it cost?
It was at this moment that he knew he fucked up.
What does it cost to be nice? What does it cost to smile? Let me ask you this. What does it cost to shut your mouth versus what does it cost when you open your mouth?
A lot.
And people can't seem to grasp that concept. Shut up. 9 out of 10 times. And I want people to get this. 9 out of 10 times, if you just shut up, you're way better off than if you speak. Try it.
A lot.
Next time you're in a meeting or sitting at a dinner table with people that you don't know or that you're not comfortable with, just shut up and listen. You don't have to always be the funny guy. Most guys don't get that.
And I'll see you in Valhalla.
And there you go. You make comments like, I'll see you in Valhalla. He got older, fatty, and douche by all accounts. I am not a douche. Am I fat and old? Yes. He might be funny on SNL, but that's about it. I agree. As much as I can say it, stop talking. Right. And I've tried so mightily. As somebody who's been in sales, Jake and I have been in sales for over a decade. For over a decade. I've been in sales for like 35 years. Relationships really rely on people shutting up and listening.
Yeah, and you'd be surprised how much you can learn about someone by just letting them talk. Just the next time I do this all the time with people I don't know. If I'm at a happening, an event, an occasion, or there's a bunch of people that I don't know. Yeah. And, you're in that phase where you're sitting around or you're standing around and, everyone's mingling and you're doing the small talk thing. Dude, just ask more questions than comments you make, right? Just, hey, oh man, gosh, the sky, man, you guys remember, dude, the sky was blue and it was incredible. Hey, well, was it raining that day or how'd you guys get along? And just let people talk, dude. They'll literally just lay the path for you.
Yeah. Michael Penix. Michael Penix ain't that guy. I just think we've got to get back to a place where we want to know each other. Where we want to learn about each other. It's funny, you guys, living in a city. I quite literally live in the middle of Seattle. Downtown. I love it. And I'll never understand. I live in a high rise. So I'm on the elevator multiple times a day. I took my dog for a walk today. 3 ladies on an elevator with me. None of them pick their heads up. None of them say 2 words. Fourth lady gets on the elevator and says, oh, your dog is, because I have a really cute dog. Oh, your dog is so cute. And all of them perk up. Yeah, you're David. It's just weird to me that we don't look at each other. We don't look at each other. I think some of it is in a lot of scenarios, people are worried about saying the wrong things or embarrassing themselves. But I think just on the general, we don't want to talk to each other. We don't trust each other. I think that's a huge thing. I think it's a huge thing. Lopes fan Gabe, better to be silent and thought of a fool than to open your mouth and remove any doubt. Boy, ain't that the truth.
Hey, Jerry, any thoughts?
Ain't that the truth? Gumby, Seattle. It's better than I had hoped. I had a lot of hopes. I was excited to I told a lot of people I was excited to get to a city that has diversity, food, people, sports. Walking the streets of Seattle is very eye-opening. It is being a major, like it's a tech hub, like obviously Amazon's here, Microsoft is here. It's a bunch of major corporations here. And what you quickly realize is you need that exposure in your life. At some point in your arc growing into a man or a human, I should say, man or a woman, I think you need to be exposed to diversity in different ethnicities, different conversations, dialects, food, all of that. And it just makes such a difference in your life, man. Like it really does. It is crazy. It is, it is so interesting. It's just remarkable to me that the diversity in food, like we went to Whole Foods yesterday. The grocery stores in Seattle, they're terrible. Went to Whole Foods, and it's just a different universe where you spend significantly more money, but it's a different universe. And what you learn is people like to be around people they like to be around.
Mm-hmm.
People in Whole Foods talk to each other. Their kids talk to each other. They, like we were looking for, one of the things they don't sell at Whole Foods is microwavable frozen vegetables, where you can just throw the bag in the microwave. And the guy was telling me, like, hey, you should try this one, or order it on Amazon, or people like to talk about that stuff. But walk up to me on the street, forget it. Say hello in a confined elevator, forget it. Not happening. Like one of the things you have to do in this building we live in is all of your packages go to a mail room. They don't go to your front door. Went downstairs last night because moving into dude. Don't ever let the moving company unpack for you. So the moving company unpacked for us. I'm sitting in this room is 100% my studio space. I have an entire wall of like 100 shoes 3 feet in front of me. But I just was unpiling stuff because they literally open the box, turn the box over, dump it on the floor, open another box, dump it on they're just, dude, it's like a hoarder house in here. And so we're going through stuff over the weekend. Finding like my boxer shorts and socks. I have no idea where any of my pants are. Like I have a pair of like yoga. I wear these Nike yoga pants because they're comfortable. That's all I have to wear. I have 2 pairs of Nike yoga pants. No idea where any of my tech pants are, my new Lulu pants I have. But other than that, my tech pants. Yeah, I shopped at Lululemon. Did I tell you guys this? Shopped at Lululemon last week. I've lost like 35 pounds, so now I fit into Lululemon clothes.
Ain't
anyway,
it nice?
here, no, there.
I know you like their pants.
Shut up. Don't let them. Do not put me into that keyhole. Anyway, the point is, do not let the movers unpack for you. Don't do it. But it's just remarkable when you get to a big city like this, the grocery stores here suck. Terrible. Terrible. I miss Harmon's grocery stores in Salt Lake City like I cannot even describe.
It is one of the great hidden gems of Salt Lake City.
Mike Smith, I found that instead of making eye contact and saying hello in an elevator, lightly tap someone on the backside a couple of times and say, "You got this?" Okay.
Good for you, buddy.
Okay. Someone got to check Monty's man card if he's wearing Lululemon pants.
Oh,
Dude, they're
no.
really
No,
comfortable.
dude. No, they are really comfortable.
This whole phenomenon known as tech pants. So here's the deal.
Here's the deal.
I've lost enough weight that I don't have clothes that fit me. And I don't even mind. Look, like this shirt, I've had this shirt 3 weeks. And it's like a trash bag, bros. Like I don't even know what to do with this thing. And it's cool. Losing weight's fun. And
Measure it.
the Zepbound's been amazing. I don't have clothes that fit. I do have like 10 polo shirts that I brought with me on this 2-week excursion.
All
so
black.
I'm hoping if I do have all black. Yeah. I'm hoping to find my clothes tonight. I don't know that that's going to happen, but yeah, tech pants. If you guys don't know what tech pants are really comfortable. They support the boys nice and well. But yeah, I think it's very interesting that people in big cities and this whole thing with the National Guard being brought in, it's changed the way people act and not for the better. Like I heard somebody yelling, "Wait till the National Guard gets here." Because I lived in the temporary place we were staying was quite literally right on Pike Place Market. And there's a Target below, which means the scourge of humanity is going to be there because, well, it's Target.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on people's minds. And anybody telling you that Portland and Seattle are lawless and rioting they're lying to you. Because that's not reality. Chicago, did you guys see Chicago, the war-torn city? Donald Trump says that Chicago's war-torn and a hellscape. He called it a hellscape, I think. Did anybody see the Chicago Marathon? Went off without a hitch. 501 shrink to fit. Oh, you remember 501 shrink to fits? I love those things. John Famler, Monty, are you going to be a leather coat guy? You're distinguished now. Nah. I have a Columbia, but even my jackets are all too big. My jackets now everything got too long. I don't know how you explain that. It's probably because I don't have as much fat, but everything's too long. Monty, Winnie the Poohing the show today. What do you mean? What do you mean? There are places that Chicago PD won't go no matter what. No, that's not true. Those are stories. Bro, anybody that, and I'm just going to tell you this now. You come in here, I'm from Chicago. I know Chicago. I know people in Chicago, and a lot of them. It is a complete fallacy that there are places in Chicago where people won't go. If your belief is that big cities should have 0 shootings, that's not a big city. Everybody who says that, Washington, D.C. is safe, and they've had multiple murders over the weekend. Oh, that's right. Washington, D.C. is a big city. It's absolutely ridiculous to think that big cities will have no crime. It's not how it works. Maybe they need to call National Guard to protect women in changing rooms. Heard that could be hell for some women. Wow. Monty, does Jake have Jordan 4s? I have Jordan 4s on right now. Right there. Oh, Jake. Wait. Oh, I can't reach it. God damn it. I have Jake a pair of baby. He's a virgin. He's never going to have children. Those I have a ton of them. I have that one that's in your left hand. I have the baby shoe version of that.
Yes. The Jordan 4.
Yeah. I have the baby version sitting right here. You guys like my lighted sign?
It's lit.
I thought I did a really good job with that.
You did. It looks really nice, actually.
Yeah, I thought I did a good job with that.
I might have to make some adjustments.
You know, you do. Uncle Monty balling in a DX Racer gaming chair. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah, it's really comfortable. It is true, Monty. Remember, I worked in law enforcement. That might be true. It's not currently accurate. That's not currently accurate. Yeah. A buddy of mine texting me right now. I love these people talking about Chicago who have no business talking about Chicago because they haven't been here in recent times. I live in the southwest corner of the city of Chicago. Donald Trump specifically stated that the neighborhood I live in is a nightly gangland war scene. I walk my dog at 3 a.m. every morning when I get home. This particular person works at a, I don't want to say the exact name, but he works at a beer company. And I have zero fear. I never see even anybody on the street because they're all sleeping. People in this neighborhood work for a living. When I was in Canaryville 2 weeks ago, my neighbor's car got broken into, and it turned out it was an ex-girlfriend. Like, I'm telling you, every big city has crime. There's nowhere in Chicago the Chicago police won't go. With all due respect, that's not the reality of the city anymore. People want to continue. Like, there was a guy on Fox News the other day, and you guys all know who he is. He's a loudmouth. He doesn't talking about how Cabrini Green continues to be a black eye on Chicago, and that it is the home to the worst of the worst. I'll even look up a date for you guys. Do you guys know why that Cabrini Green, the housing complex, do you guys know why that's just completely not true? Anybody want to take a guess at why Cabrini Green is not the worst place where everybody hangs out? It's been closed for 25 years. It does no longer exist. But this guy on Fox News is like, Cabrini Green is where all the worst of the worst people hang. It hasn't even been there. I think it was fully closed and destructed in 2011 was when it was fully erased, taken down. It's 2025. So even if you say 14 years, like, it hasn't been there for 14 years, and it's where all the worst of the worst in Chicago hang out. Like, the stereotypes, again, with all due respect. I mean, it's what I was walking around Navy Pier on the 4th of July. I was not in fear for my life. I was not nervous. I was there with my wife and my sister-in-law and her husband. We walked all over that city. Never once was I worried about my safety. Chicago felt very safe to me the last 4 times I was there. You get it, Greg? Like, yeah. I'm just telling you. Do big cities yeah, you know what? I walked my dog this afternoon. There's a homeless guy sleeping on a bench. Do we have homelessness? Yes. I have walked all over this town. My wife is currently walking home from her office. I am not worried about her safety. I don't understand this idea where we're sending the National Guard. We're better than that, you guys. Yeah, you could say that. Gentrification's a real thing. Oakland, California, gentrified, no doubt. An area in the small town I grew up in, it was very low income with lots of drug issues. We could cut through there at times. One time a guy jumped out of a tree and chased us with a knife. Yeah, happens. I don't disagree with you. Monty, Jordan 4's best shoe ever made. Nah, the best Jordans ever made.
Depends what you're looking for, in my opinion.
I'm a Jordan 3 guy. 3s or 9s. I probably have 2 dozen pairs. I probably have 20 pairs of Jordan 3s. 1, 2. I have, I think 6 pairs of Jordan 9s. Jordan 5s. Jordan 5s are unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
I love like there's not Jordan 9s, Jordan 6s, 1 high premiums are tough to beat.
10s are underrated comfort wise, in my opinion.
I agree. I had some really tough. I had such a good life in Salt Lake City. And I have had to make some really tough choices on how hard it is to get rid of your stuff. Go from 2,000 square feet to 700 square feet and see what you get rid of. It's really tough, dude. Really, really tough. Toot Pants. Wiki tells me Chicago is the 92nd highest city of violent crime. Memphis, number 1, Little Rock 4, Dayton 10. And for the 9th straight year, Chicago voted the best big city in the country.
Yeah.
I absolutely love the 4s. Yeah, I have on the black ones right now, but I have the PSG one, the Paris Saint-Germain ones. I have the Breads. I have a bunch of 4s. I'm really going to force myself to wear my Jordans every day. Like,
you should.
Yeah, I got to stop not wearing them. Monty, according to Trump, you've got to be lying about walking around Seattle. He was ready to send true. It's just not true. Monty, I lived in a 30 square meter apartment, moved abroad with nothing but a suitcase, moved back with nothing but a same suitcase. It's hard, but helps you learn what to value. Dude, you are so right. And I had so much stuff, material stuff. And my wife, who is amazing, we both have gone through kind of I don't know, is it a maturing process? Fucking 53 years old and I'm maturing.
Seasoning.
There you go. Seasoning. Putting it on. Are you kidding me? The Atlanta Falcons are up 21-7 on Buffalo. Is McDermott going to get fired here? I think Sean McDermott might be one of those guys who doesn't make it through the season. And I know that's crazy, but I think that'll be interesting. Anyway, I could go on and on and on. Hey, I bought a bag from a Chinese supplier. Real quick before we end the show. 11s have always been my go. Dude, Jake will back me up on this. When I was getting ready to move, I sent Jake a picture. I've been whining and complaining for over a year that I can't get my hands on a pair of cool gray 11s, size 15. I sent Jake a picture. When I was cleaning out my shoe room, I found a box that had a pair of cool gray 11s, size 15.
Bro.
I had so many, I had 200, I had more than 200 pairs of shoes that I didn't even know I had many pairs. Many pairs. You're stupid. Stupid. So you guys, I want your thoughts on this. And Greg Hawkins, I'm glad you're here because I wonder what you guys think of this. So I bought a bag, and I should put the picture in here. And I apologize, I don't have the picture handy. I bought a Louis Vuitton bag. And if you guys want to go and look this bag up, I apologize, I'm ill prepared to have this conversation. It is the Avenue Sling Bag PM. I bought this bag from one of the Chinese connects. Remember, we were talking about how you can get Louis Vuitton bags. You can get Nikes, my Kobe Undefeateds. You can get Nikes from overseas, China, and it is the exact same piece of material, just not $2,000. Now, I haven't gotten this bag yet. I paid $74 with shipping for a bag that's over $2,000 because I'm going to Paris for Christmas and then London. I'm going to Paris and London for Christmas and New Year's. So I wanted a man purse because I don't want to carry my wallet. And I was looking around one of the malls here. I know it's all gangland and it's torn up from violence, but they have a mall here that's only high-end stores in Bellevue. And I walked in there and I found this bag, and it was like $2,600, I think it was, with tax out the door. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm not paying that. I'm going to go to my Chinese Connect. I did. I ordered it, $74. Should be here this week. Jake, what are your expectations for quality?
I think it'll be the highest quality because that same Connect got you those Kobe's.
That same Connect did get me the Kobe's.
I think that there is such a thing as people need to make money. And when something gets imposed that's out of their control by the U.S. government, they are going to find ways around that. So it's not counterfeit. It is legitimate product. It's just, it's being able to, it's who like.
Yeah. Did Monty win a prestigious award on the wall? No, that's our 100,000 subscriber plaque from YouTube. Speaking of which, hit the like button. Please subscribe if you have not. Yeah, I'm excited. I'll keep you guys up to date on that. Once when I was in Guangzhou, this lady selling fabulous knockoff Nikes, I bought a pair. They were great, dude. The Kobe's I have, and I showed them on the show when I got them. You can't, they're authentic. And it's because they'll have like some small blemish on them or something. And I'm hoping that's what this is. I'm excited about it. I'm excited about it. Lots of people buy Chinese-made Gibson guitars, call them Chibsons. Chibsons, okay. Some turn out okay. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. Monty taking part in counterfeit market? They're not counterfeit. I don't know what you mean by that. When stationed in Korea, I could get any pair of shoes for $5. They might not last long, but for $5, it was okay to me. Yeah, seriously, right? Right? I already read that one. Anyway, all right. I'll keep you up to date on that. Bears and Commanders about to kick off. Mariners pounding Toronto. We'll keep you up to date on that. Cubs season's over. Thanks to Oak State James. Undefeated there, bud. The Monty Show, as always, presented by the Advocates. TheAdvocates.com, the best injury attorneys in the business. Until tomorrow, say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.